Apparently, this is what it looks like.
Yeah,
It's
those are
ready
the
to
ones
eat,
that
so.
came
Do
out of my
it. I want to watch.
Not bad.
You
I
feel
will tell
nurtured?
you that their cookie dough warms up really fast. Like that shit'll get mushy in like 5 minutes. So if you want to keep that texture, you better go pop a couple of them back in the fridge. You're muted.
Well, I'm talking to stream. I'm about to raid you guys anyway.
Avery came over to steal cookie dough out of the freezer.
Huh.
Even though there's perfectly good, warm, gooey, still made cookies on our counter, he gets the frozen raw cookies out of the freezer.
Why'd I put cookie dough in my mouth right before I did that? All right, guys. We're going over there. Have fun. Bring Oh, shit. I'm not muted.
Who the fuck is he talking to?
He's streaming.
Oh. I was like, I thought he lived alone. I'm concerned for his safety.
Nope. I just don't know. I usually have push to talk on, so it's hard for me to remember to mute myself when we're not. Whatchamacallit? Can't even think out loud.
You can have moving GIF backgrounds.
Oh no,
Back guys, I'm gonna tuck my daughter in.
Oh no, he's hot.
Zach, no.
No, it's
I like that one. Do you think I have enough time to throw this on a cookie sheet? I don't know. Fuck.
No.
See y'all later. Yeah.
Your oven has to be preheated, bruh. You just pop things in the oven before it's preheated. You raise in a barn?
Unless it's potatoes, it actually makes them crispier.
Yeah, I can't live my life like that.
I understand.
Gotta have it preheated. It like sends me into a rage when people just turn on the oven and like pop the food in there, and I'm like, that's gonna mess up everything.
What are you doing with your
No,
life?
it's not if you time it right.
Reckless.
I hate this because I have so many questions. I have the most questions for
Good, 'cause I
Akare,
only
and
have,
I
like,
think that
3.
most of them are just for Aiden.
Well, if they're for Akari, I would hope so.
No, I mean Aiden specifically, as a person.
Are you gonna ask him who Robot Boy finds the most attractive in the party?
Oh no, but that's a good one. That's a good one. Like mathematically attractive? Or is that racist? I don't know.
Who has the best ratio of 1s and 0s on
There
the
you go!
Hell are you all fucking talking about?
You.
Binary
Also-
attractiveness? But like binary in like the computer sense and not like the cisgender sense.
Or
I'm
both.
gonna trigger you even more and say, would you be even madder if I told you that okay, there we go. That I literally turned on my toaster oven because I don't use my oven, I use a toaster oven, and it's not preheated.
You're making cookies in a toaster oven?
Do you
Yes, ma'am.
preheat a toaster oven?
No?
Good evening,
Oh my
everyone,
God. They're gonna
I
be
make pretty
so
much everything on a toaster
crispy.
oven.
and welcome to Friday Night Dice.
It's the best
I
part.
guess you don't preheat a toaster, huh?
My
No,
name's
but
Matt, and
they're gonna
welcome
be
to our
so
Wednesday night
crispy.
campaign,
Where we discuss cookies.
where my players all talk over me.
Toasters. I was
Yeah.
talking after you. I waited till you were done.
That's all of your campaigns, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
Man, I still got to figure out if I set the toaster oven too high. I did. I'll be right back.
Oh no. Hey guys, all doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm excited.
I'm alive.
Alive is good.
More than I expected for session 39.
Is it really 39? Jesus.
Yes, every time I tell someone that we're on session 39, they're like, what level are you? Like 17? 18? And I go 10. And the guy that I talked to literally went, holy shit, does your DM hate you?
Mhm.
Aww.
He's like, we're on session 25 and we're like 17.
What? Why do you have a suit on?
Fuck. And a Bucky's hat.
Is that a Bucky's hat? Yeah, what the fuck?
You're
That's
welcome.
my
Because I knew I was trying to stall for you.
Why?
Sorry, guys. I had to make a quick attire adjustment.
Hey,
Why?
I could do some shit. Like,
Should I go put on a formal dress?
I was thinking that too. Like, what's my most
It's the
formal
talk
dress?
show. It's the talk show.
Oh, is that right?
Sorry for not.
Do I need to go grab my blazer?
Yeah,
Listen,
can we have
I
like a
don't-
3-minute break to go get informal attire?
I didn't
No.
ask you guys to meet the standard. I just said it. That's all.
Oh god.
Why couldn't you tell us about the standard beforehand?
I for sure would have wore like a super formal dress.
I mean, it took me 3 minutes to get into a suit. What can you do?
I
don't
can put
have
on
a
a dress
suit.
really fast.
As Aiden goes and puts a button-up shirt on.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
going.
No.
You can't leave
God,
him hanging.
Fuck. Why?
I can't be the only one. I can't.
You're not the only one.
No, I'm
Get it.
gonna be. Just give
Get
it
it.
a second.
Get it, Lissa?
No.
Get it?
I don't know what to. What do I
It's okay. You
have?
don't need to.
No, you do.
No, you don't.
Just to piss Matt off. Just to piss Matt off, you do.
Would it piss you off, Matt?
It would not piss
He's
me off.
trying to run a
but-
session here.
But we are stalling
Wait.
and just making people who came here to ask us questions sit there.
It's a Q&A. They came for the content.
Well, we're going
This
one
is the
by one.
content.
We're taking turns.
That makes
Yeah.
it take longer.
Well, then ask questions.
Oh, that's not.
Well,
how
we're
it
not there
works.
yet. That's the thing. I think we're starting with RP, aren't we?
I have questions.
All right. Well,
I hear her thumping up there. She's really getting ready. She's like aggressively getting ready.
we are finally there. After 38 long sessions on this godforsaken island, you guys have finally came to the point. Defeated Zeltroy, banishing him back to his own domain, destroying him forever, or simply outright killing him. Who knows? But you guys have done it. You've completed what you set out to do. And now, there's no one left on this island to stop you. To stop you from finally returning home. All that's left is for you to gather your things, meet with your friends back in the village of Sangara, and join on your victorious voyage across the broken sea, back to where it all began. Back to Port Midbar. We find the 5 of you, joined by Astoria and Torsion Duranast, after successfully saving an innumerable amount of elves. All of them still encased in crystal, as Torsion has explained to you that it will take a long time for him to free everyone. But their suspended animation
Oh,
is
guys.
safe.
Whoa!
And they now
What a glow up! What the hell?
are able to make it.
Guys.
So
Well,
as you guys stroll across the plains, passing by the very spot, now pocketed with craters, decaying grass, what remains of your beloved treant that you summoned, Kidai.
He did.
You guys pass by the spot, forever scarred by the 6 of you and Zeltroy's remains. His dust that has returned to the earth. See Torsion
Sorry,
look
Matt, I
over.
was-
Huh?
Okay, no man. Nope, go on.
See Torsion look over to the 6 of you. So this is where it all took place.
It's a record scholar's gotten.
What was the question?
No, I just said it's the record that you have.
Correct.
While I was not in control of my body, I do thank you. What is your plan from here on out? You plan to stay? Has the island grown on you at all?
Scholar just looks towards Akari. Sort of like cedes the discussion to him.
In a way, Torgen, it has. But I think we have responsibilities that call us elsewhere.
I understand.
And as I kind of clear my throat and side-eye at Astoria, as much as people wish it, I don't think I would ever be truly welcome.
He looks and he says,
And
Astoria filled me in on secret on our short trip back. At least before you leave. Can I see his face one more time?
I will drop the shroud.
See the eyes go kind of watery. Small tear like rolls down his eye. Thank you. You'll see he'll reach into his bag and pulls out a scroll and hands it over to whoever wishes to take it, but looks to you. This is a arcane sigil. Present this to any arcanist of meager value, and they should be able to bring you back to me, back to us at any point you need. This is open to all of you. Done a great, immeasurable feat for our people. While they don't know it, and it might take them some time to understand and accept what has happened, know that we are grateful. And for D&D terms, this is the arcane circle for teleportation circle for you to teleport to Torsion's personal circle at any given point. So long as you have someone that can cast teleportation circle for you.
We don't.
Probably never will.
So as you guys approach the village of Ophila, Astoria looks to Akari. I assume this is where we split ways. At least for now.
At least for now.
I hope you bear no ill will towards your brother, and we will explain to him everything that has happened.
I don't think I have the grounds to hold a grudge against someone I don't know. But I'm sure you two have it well in hand, explaining to him the truth of everything.
All I can say is that I hope one day you do know him. And one day I hope to know you. The new you.
I don't want to give you false hope. I'm not sure that'll be in the cards. But if it is, then all the better for it.
Well, it's the blessing of being an elf, I guess. Time is on my side. As you guys split ways, I assume you board Dwayne The Rock Johnson and head back towards Singara.
I have
Yes.
one last question for Astoria.
Go on.
I'll walk up to Astoria. Scholar will, not Vane. And I'll pull out the book, the tome that has the binary in it, or whatever robo language or
Sure. I mean, it's basically binary.
like except with squiggles in it too.
Yeah.
And I'll open up the book, and at the end where it says more research needed, CD03, blah blah blah, I'll say, Astoria, I owe you thanks for all of the insight you've provided. I hope that we can arrange a visit to New Elzora for you sometime in the future. But in the meantime, is there something you might write to our people, just in case I make it there before you do? And I'll sort of like gesture with the book towards her.
You'll see her turn to Torsion. She reaches into her pack and pulls out something that she's been working on and hands over to you. This is Storia's Sphere of Legend. Once per day, it will allow you to peer into my mind, and perhaps whatever guidance or truths your people may be looking for will be answered. It is a magical item that is not yet on D&D Beyond, but it allows you to cast the spell Legend Lore once per day.
Spicy. We take those. Oh, let's see.
I think he froze.
You did freeze.
Thank you. Nope.
There?
Oh, lovely.
Oh, now he's
There you
moving.
go.
There we go.
He's back.
I'll say, is there any personal message you'd like to extend?
I extend to them that I and you, it seems, should value knowledge above all else. Not some person who may have had a hand in creating you. She gestures to herself. But in the pursuit of what you and your kind can become.
Sorry, I'm just typing furiously.
Yeah, you're good. I am but a person. God like the one that grants me my gifts, or the one that grants Kidai her druidic abilities. Simply had a hole that needed to be... Not finishing that sentence.
Sexy.
Why not?
A void where AD-001 is placed.
Also kinky.
Strepsils.
I hope that was quiet enough the stream did not hear that.
Oh, they heard it 100%.
Scholar will finish scrolling down the message. We'll thank Astoria and then board Dwayne.
As you guys board on the backs of Dwayne, you turn, you can see Astoria and Torsion waving to you with the walls of Ophila off in the distance. They turn and begin walking towards the sun shining across the rolling wildlands as you guys fly over the Felmuth Canal. And within short minutes, you can see the edges of the Kelthara thicket. And as Dwayne kind of circles around, you can see the scarred and burned ashes remains of Tristana on the horizon. As he kind of turns and begins to make his descent towards Sangara. You guys can see the wooden palisades on the outside of Sangara. And the forest looking much more lively, with the new disease that was brought on by the Verdant King purged from this land. The forest is thriving. The birds flying all above. Wildlife running throughout the plains. Eventually you guys land back in Sangara. As you pass through the massive wooden gate, you are instantly greeted by Yalis. As he embraces Fane.
Fane would have been before we landed. He'd be like, "Now don't be intimidated by the sort of weight of the change. It's very impressive all the things we've done in the last 7 days. Just keep your pants on, Zamira."
She'll look down like they were maybe like about to fall to make sure she didn't need to like pull them up because she was confused. They're still on. They weren't falling.
Yeah, those things will probably never come off, but anyway. Yalis!
Brother, you're back. Things are as you left it.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Yalis. I would say we, but I think in this case it's not appropriate to take credit. My friends and a new friend, I'll point at Scholar.
See Alice like peculiarly like tilt his head as he looks at Scholar, never before seeing a metal man before.
I still haven't figured it out, but he's pretty smart, I think. Don't talk about him in third person. I was going to do it, but just resist the temptation.
Understood. It's good to see all of you again.
Mm-hmm.
All of
yes,
you.
But they succeeded. I was late. Zeltroy is dead.
Yiddick.
I mean, I didn't see it, but his servant
The Titan is no more.
Ophila. Yeah. It's funny. It's kind of like adventurer blue balls. Like you do all the prep, you do on the journey, and then you just kind of settle down for a bit, and all of a sudden everybody else gets the nut, the dragon in this case. I was just a little too late.
I'm sure there will be more.
I'll just lean over to Kothar and go, I'll explain it when you're older.
You guys are all making really shocked faces. That
was good. That was a good reference. Like, that was a good, that's the way.
As you guys are kind of sitting there and you can see Graham like hobbling over on a wooden cane towards all of you. It's good to see the five of you have returned. I can feel the winds of change have begun to blow. And a new horizon for the island of Oldenheim. New era has began. Kind of looks to all of you. And I think it's high time I let the younglings start to run things a little more. If it's all the same to you, when you return to the mainland, I would like to accompany you. I'd like to visit where my son is buried. Say my final goodbyes.
Fane will look like quizzically at Gran. Are you sure?
I've spent enough time on this island, and I can see that it is in good hands. As she like reaches up and places her hand on your cheek.
I mean, only because you're giving me the advice. You should go. You should.
I'd like you to at least accompany me there.
You are 100% correct. I am accompanying you there. There is not a chance you would walk the streets of Drakenford alone.
Don't think I could handle myself.
I think you would be very well equipped, but still, a thought. It's just, it's a seedy place, that's all. Even, it's not like here where there's just one or two bad guys running around. There's lots of bad people.
As they're kind of talking, you can see Patrinus begin to approach from the side and instantly goes in for basically like a bro hug with you, Kothar. It's good to see you again.
I will hug him back.
When they told me what you guys were trying to take on, feared I would never see you again.
You really think I'd die a second time?
Not even the dark depths of the ocean can claim you.
Yeah, no, dying's kind of my job.
He's not entirely wrong, but so what will you do, Patron? Will you stay here? Are you coming with us?
Oh hell no, I'm going home. I've spent enough time and seen enough dragons for one lifetime. I could go the rest of
Yep.
my days never seeing one again and be perfectly happy.
I mean, as long as you don't like look in a mirror, you should be pretty okay.
Yes.
It'll be good to have you on the open sea again.
I think I'll take some time to myself before returning to captain my own ship once more, but I do intend to return to the Zartalas Navy within time. I think I've earned a bit of a vacation. What'd you say?
I think what leave you take that they don't know about won't hurt them.
Especially
I mean,
when
what's-
they expect me to be dead.
What's a little bit more after 7 years, you know?
Agreed.
That's a goddamn patriot right there. He didn't demand it, he just asked for a vacation after being lost at sea. Fucking blue-blooded American right there, god.
Well,
It's so true, though.
it is my understanding that in a few days, our vessel will be complete. We can finally
Should
return
be.
home with whoever wishes to come.
We should make the call. Make sure everyone's ready to go when the time comes.
Where are the twins?
The mules still working on the boat. They're ready to get off this island just as much as everyone else.
Fane will turn to Fralia. Say, do you think it would be wise to offer a chance for anyone who wanted to see the world to come with us?
I think everyone here has their own right and choice to the island if they wish. Their father did it. Shouldn't they?
Indeed, this might be the first opportunity many of them have had. Good timing, I suppose. Just put the word out. I'll turn to Yalis and say, spread the word that in a few days' time there's a boat, etc., etc.
Spoiler:
Two?
the whole village wants to go, and we'll leave a ghost town behind.
Well,
Two
actually,
boats,
I mean,
technically?
we could offer, and not necessarily a service, but we could give them time. If we're leaving on the boat, I don't see any need for us to take Dwayne. It could be his job from now on to ferry people back and forth.
I don't think he's got the range.
He doesn't.
Can't give up
I
Dwayne.
don't think he can make it in
I'm
one
not
flight.
saying give him up.
Just-
Actually I mean, now that Zeltro is dealt with, there should be a port of some kind here.
Yeah.
Just a minor port.
Perhaps
We
we could
could-
build something in the Delta.
We should, and we could. Oh, maybe that doesn't. Oh, I love that, Zach. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe we could offer, like, this is very, very mainland Gran, but maybe like adventure tours. Like, let people come experience Singara. See, the thing is, you want to protect the land, but now that it's not protected, people will come and try to take it. So maybe we just sell it to them in advance, right?
I suspect that without outward knowledge of the Titan gone or his demise, that outsiders will still tend to sway away.
I don't think the word can be kept secret forever, but it's a discussion for another time.
If they do come, I'm sure we will be fine in protecting ourselves. We fended off an army of demons and devils.
Gran, you've never seen the oppressive weight of capitalism. It's worse than any of the man else.
then I suspect you will be here. Or at least have us prepared enough to deal with it.
We'll talk about it, I suppose.
FND must seize the means of production.
You can see Breger approaches the 5 of you. Well, the 5 of you joined me on a journey to this island in which you were supposed to be paid. And it seems I owe you not only your payment, but my life.
We're getting more money?
Put like his
Words-
little bag of coppers on top of the.
Words cannot describe the debt in which I owe the 5 of you. And if you'll have me, I will captain the ship home for you while you all relax.
I actually have a second proposition for you, if you'd like to hear it.
I'm all ears.
When the ship is done, we'll have to swing south and west. Should be the fastest route around the island. When we do, there's a second perfectly capable vessel, if you would like to take it.
Just to back to the mainland? I can sail another ship back to the mainland for you.
I was thinking, I know it's not what you came here with, but you're more than welcome to keep it for yourself. We have no need for 2 vessels, and consider it an apology for getting yours, shall we say, splintered.
I don't think anyone foresaw a Titan-sized dragon coming at us when we started this voyage.
I mean,
But I will not turn down the offer of a ship. What I will offer in return is free passage aboard it anytime you need.
I think that'd be appreciated.
Well, I think
Now
we have
then, shall we celebrate?
was going to suggest the same thing. They've
I
been
will
brewing a new batch of jungle juice. I think I have 1 bottle of rum still lying around. The boys should be finished in their ship in a few days. Time to go home. If anyone has anything else they'd like to talk to or complete in this time, go ahead.
just detailed instructions for Yalis. Try and get things as stabled up as possible over the next couple days.
I'm out of jungle juice.
Then with that, I am going to bring the first arc of this campaign to a close.
Yay! Well, not yay. Kind of sad, but yay, proud of us.
We did it.
And I would like to thank you all for an amazing first arc, first half of this campaign. That was a blast, and you guys took that to places that I never thought it would go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, thank you.
Yeah, well,
So-
now you know better.
At this time, for the 5 of you and for everyone in chat, I would like to open up the floor to any questions that you guys have for me, questions you guys have for each other's about each other's characters up to this point, and questions from chat about anything they'd like to know.
What's the scope on this? Are we keeping it to campaign 3? Are we keeping it to Friday Night Dice? Are we
Keeping it to campaign 3.
okay?
Are we wrapping characters? Like, are we telling what we want for them for the foreseeable future?
No,
Or-
we'll do that off stream. Because
Okay.
the second
We're
half,
just
because the
talking
second
about
half of your
things that have
character will
happened.
Okay.
second half of your character is still yet to be untold, because when we eventually come back from our hiatus, there's still 4 of you here, while Pothar's second half of his story will have to wait till a later time. The 4 of you, I would still like to complete the rest of your stories, because I know Kidai still has the Verdant King to deal with on the mainland. You guys
Right.
still have Andraxis to chase down with whatever plan he is attempting on the mainland. Akare is more or less found a way to rescue his people, but the Gazing King still runs amok. And Zamira still needs to track down the rest of her Dragon Balls.
Okay, well, I got a question. I would.
As well as
I guess I'll
Fane,
kick
who
us
also
off
needs to
with.
clear up some things of his own, but those have yet to be revealed, so I'm not going to say anything.
Mind your business.
Should we roll dice to see who goes first?
That's literally exactly what I was going to suggest.
Go for it.
Should we roll dice for our level up?
Rollies.
You guys can have your level up.
Hey!
So let me ask a question: is Fane still level 9?
Fane would level up with the party.
But he was level. He missed the level 10 level up. So is he 10?
If he rejoins,
Because he wasn't.
let me put it this way: if he rejoins the party, he's the same level as the party. If he's staying in NPC and you're staying with Scholar, he stays his lower level.
You gotta make me make it. You're gonna make me make a decision like that.
Yeah.
Mine was an 18.
Over questions?
Yeah.
13.
Oh, we're rolling initiative to see who gets to ask their questions.
Yeah. To see
I
if we're
believe we
gonna-
are.
If it's
Yeah.
an initiative, it's a 10 for me.
Oh, for initiative for me, if we're adding our initiative modifier, mine's a 24.
14.
No, I was gonna ask Liz, what's your dex score? Because mine's fucking trash.
Dex.
I'm talking Liz, not Kidai. My dex score sucks. but
I'm
I rolled a
actually
13.
look. I'm a little more dexterous than I give myself credit for, but I'm also hella clumsy. So I'd say that averages about like 11. Did you guys see me fucking fall last time?
Hey, at least you didn't take a tumble down the stairs.
It was close. It was bad. My foot got wrapped around my headphone cord and I didn't realize. I stood up. I tried to walk away.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, let's go down the line then and roll health real quick.
Oh, yeah, we gotta
Oops.
do that too.
Sorry.
Kidai, start us off.
Hold on, Panics and Druidic.
Annex and Druid.
Ow!
Fuck. She got a natural 20 and hit her hand on the cabinet above her.
I didn't get a natural 20, but I did hit my hand on the cabinet door above me. Oh.
All
That's a
right.
2.
All right. Zamira?
I rolled a 7.
Oh.
And I broke my finger because I was excited about it.
7 and 2 points of damage.
Scholar and or Hex? Or I mean, and or Fane?
I guess. Oh, I gotta do 2 level up for Fane, so I'll roll those in a second. I got a 2 for Scholar.
Okay.
What do I even get at level 11?
It was a 1.
You get to reroll ones.
That was a 6.
There you go.
Ooh, we love an average.
8.
Is that max for you?
I have a D10.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And that is my oath.
What oath is it?
Oath of the Watchers.
I like it.
Same one I took for the level 20 character.
I assumed it would have been.
Careful with the Yeah,
counter.
I didn't cheese it. So.
Are we really doing initiative for our questions? I feel like people are gonna run out
No.
of questions pretty quick.
No, we're not.
Oh,
I think it was just for the first question.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what it was.
Well, it sounded like Zamira had the first unless somebody beat an 18.
I also got an 18.
Okay.
What was your?
Both of you
Is that with your initiative
No,
modifier
it's
though,
not for
or
your
just a straight
character, it's
18?
Just straight roll. Both of you reroll.
Oh, I rolled a straight 18.
Oh, then she wins.
Oh, okay.
My side note, my rolled HP, not my plus my constitution, my rolled HP is now equal to 69.
Nice.
right,
and
Emma.
my hit dice is now a D8. Okay, sorry. The night that we had the party when we were in Singar before Fane took over, when he was giving Zamira a really hard time, which one of us actually had the most chance to pick up Ezra when we all hit on her?
Neither. Ezra is asexual and not interested in either of you unless you build a bond with her.
Oh, spicy.
That's not asexual, that's sapiosexual.
No, that's demisexual.
Yeah. The sapiosexual is the one you have to appease them intellectually.
Makes sense though.
But she's not interested with either of you until you build a bond with her.
Not even Kedai?
She's not interested in anybody.
Everybody's
you guys,
interested in Keita.
You guys have not
What
spent...
was it that you tried to tell her about Kedai? Her shoes? I think it was her shoes that you picked up, that you were like chatting her up about awkwardly. You're muted.
Muted.
First of all, I said that's the best compliment I've ever received. Second, I think it was her shoes, because I just wanted to talk to her about something, but like I have in my notes, like literally, let me read you my notes about her. And yes, I took notes for a little while. Ezra, first mate, human woman, crazy eyes, do not look. So I think my point of that was that I was looking at her shoes.
I like it.
I was not looking at her in her eyes.
How do you get that from Matt?
No, Matt said she had crazy eyes and it felt intimidating to look.
Ezra's eyes are that of like the Aurora Borealis. They're like ever changing and shifting, like these waves in her eyes. They're not normal.
I remember you said it looked like weird and I shouldn't look at
It's
it.
extremely weird, and none of you have ever encountered anything like it before. You guys never investigated it or asked her about it, so I'm not going to tell you where it comes from. But
Are we gonna meet her again?
Definitely strange. She's still with you guys.
First, you gotta kill a few people. Then you gotta, never mind. Sorry.
Then you can ask her about her eyes. Okay. Who goes next?
Whoever would like to.
I got a question for Emma.
Oh boy.
When you were talking with Matt about Zamira and making your character pitch, did you have any idea, based on your backstory being so dragon-based, that you would just end up on a fucking island? Did you all talk about that at all? Did he even warn you?
Oh, no.
Like, end up on the island full of fucking dragons? He didn't warn you at all?
No.
I almost asked the same thing.
Dick.
I had absolutely no clue. And it's funny though, because I came up with the character race combination as like a joke, as like a spoof on a straight up Dragon Ball Z character, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna weave dragons in, and then I found the dragon subclass, and then he throws us on an islands of dragons, and it's just like dragons everywhere.
The best part about the Oldenheim being where where I knew the campaign was gonna take place was when Zach pitched me his backstory, and he had it as a part of his backstory. Like, I was just like, this is so perfect.
Amazing.
Oh, because he pitched the shipwrecked on Oldenheim.
Yep.
No,
years
because
ago?
I asked him I said, hey, what's that island down in the corner? Do you have anything written for that? And he said, yeah. And I said, can I know what it is? And he said, no. And I said, well, I'm thinking about like writing something kind of adjacent to it. Is that all right? And he said, just write it and send it over.
And it worked.
Amazing.
Good work.
Changed the whole course of the first act. Well, changed the whole game at this point.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna go in with a question for Akare. How are we feeling now about that whole soul situation?
A question for Akari or a question for Aiden?
No,
Distinction here.
Akare. How are we feeling about the whole?
Akari between Scholar and reuniting with Astoria, and sort of with Torsion, but honestly not really. Torsion at this point is, well, anyway, that's not relevant to the question. Torsion's kind of just like, okay, you're saved. We don't have time for this. My friends need other things. We gotta go. Also because he knows he'll never be accepted in the city. But the whole soul thing, between the presence that he prescribes to the Micaiah, and everything that he's seen on this island and his newfound friends, and between Scholar as well. The idea of a soul is more solidified to him. Whereas, even though he has the shroud and everything, that's protective mechanisms to hide who he is. It's definitely more solidified now. So the idea of him being sure that he has a soul. But that was one of the main when I came up with Akari, when I came up with the concept of playing a Warforged, I wanted to explore the concept of like what is a being, what is an actual living sentient being versus is there a difference between having sentience as well as having sentience and a soul? That was one of the main elements behind Akari whenever I was coming up with a character. I was like, this could be interesting to explore.
Somehow we brain linked. And when I came up with Scholar's backstory, I just knew innately.
They did line up very well.
I do want to say real quick, guys, chat, if you have any questions for a player about their character or a player or Matt or any campaign related questions, this is an open floor. We're not just talking amongst ourselves here.
If you are unsubbed and you ask a question, I will gift you a sub.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
Bribery.
outright bribery. That's weird.
Man.
Bribery. No, I do want to jump in real
Feels
quick.
strange, but I'll allow it.
I'm sure I'll say it again at many times tonight. But between you and Matt Hex, well done with Scholar. For a moment there when you were Warforged, I was like, ooh, I was like, this could ruin everything, and I was really nervous.
If it was,
but you executed perfectly. You both did. Whatever combination of you two.
When I first came up with the idea, because Scholar was initially the first character I had created for Matt's campaign, for the Monday night campaign.
But he said no Warforged.
No Warforged.
No, there was a way I think we had discussed, like if he was like
it was a very very hard line, like really
it had to be done a certain way. Yeah. So, but that character's name was Slave 3, and so I thought about using the concept as soon as Fane, as soon as FND was done. I think we were messaging that night that I thought about bringing back the Warforged Artificer. Yep. And I just want to make sure it was respectfully done, because I knew that it would be cheap if I just was like, "Hey, I'm another Warforged," and so I tried to put some thought and effort into Scholar.
The one thing that I'll say between it started, the idea for it started when Aiden gave me the pitch for his backstory, like the thought of like, okay, where is this going to go? And then like I basically pulled the strings, and eventually it led me to like a completely sentient Warforged city. And I didn't know how I wanted to go about doing it. I just knew I wanted to do it. But then when Fane introduced Scholar to me, I was like, okay, now I definitely know how I want to do it. And that's how New Elzora was born.
Yep. Yeah, you can probably see on my face during that session extreme concern and also excitement at oh crap, another Warforged. But then like the moment that he started talking, I was like, ooh, no, I can tell Hex has put in effort here.
The moment was so perfect because I remember describing it, and I was like, you turn around and there's a pistol to the back of your head and another Warforged standing above you, and then all of a sudden,
that was a really good moment.
Hex started talking.
Yep, it's very well done.
It's really fun. You guys haven't really seen, so like this is a fun part we haven't really talked about, is the fact that like Scholar, even though he's like a scholar as a mirror of what, like his mind is a mirror of what his body is, because even though he's an inventor and a tinkerer, he's like a machine of war. And he's like he started as a killer and like a murder bot, and then became something different. And that's why he started with the gun, is because that's how his people started, was with the gun. So we haven't explored the like psycho murder bot part of Scholar.
Bears in mind, actually, AD is I can't remember the first name, and then Duranast 001. What is CD 003? Does that have a designated actual meaning behind the?
Can I explain
behind the serial?
Yeah, go for it.
I think this would have been well within reason for Scholar to explain. So AD001 is the A series, D model, whatever, AD series, so the prime series, model number 1, right? The only one in his class created. So BD was the second set of BD01 through 12, or 1 through 8 were the second set created, and they were created less they were created in the image of AD-001, but they were sort of failures in that they didn't have the sort of spark, if you will. They were just very brutish and simple, but powerful, and capable. And then the C series is the third series, where they like went completely back, didn't cut any costs, and spent, however many hundreds of thousands of gold to construct each one of 16, right? And then
Human
the D
cyber
series-
relations.
Exactly. So D series
series.
follows, the F series follows, so on and so forth. So there's like a hierarchy of sort of.
Yeah. I think you did explain that at one point as Scholar. What I meant to say was, AD is, I can't remember the name of the
Anokai.
son Anokai. So Anokai Duranast 001. That's what AD 001 means. So, does the B series and the C series have anything to do with?
So
it doesn't have anything to do with the Duranast lineage because it's all the Dalmetak oligarchy, right?
Mhm.
Or oligarchy.
Yeah, so the technologists of the oligarchy just used it as, took it, interpreted it as a serial number, and just continued the serial.
Like a dummy, like I wrote them in my backstory as the dummies that they were.
Like a reflection, just like it is, like it's a reflection, right? It looks the same, but it doesn't have the same depth.
Yep.
So
I have a question for each player.
Ooh.
What was each person the individual highlight of this first arc?
Oh.
What was your favorite moment?
Damn. I feel like we all do need a second to think about this.
I know.
And while we do that, if we all travel back in time to the VOD of last week and go to, I think it's like about 51, 30, or 40, you can see me absolutely eat fucking booty on the floor while you wait.
You could have just clipped it and then just posted the clip.
I don't know how to do that, so I'll just.
Too funny.
We'll do that.
But
I know my favorite moments.
Is it for Scholar or Fane?
Both.
If you had to just pick one. Well, you can pick one for each, but I just want to know what the individual characters, their highlight was.
Sorry. I opened up Twitch and it screamed in my ear. What was the question?
Your characters, individuals, like highlight in the first arc of the campaign.
One for each. For Scholar, it was the conversation with Astoria, with Astoria. I think it was just before Elliot took over.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation, the second-rate conversation, was a highlight for Scholar, just because of where that conversation went. And then for Fane, it was either, it's too hard to split, but it was either taking control of the tribe or the moment on the beach with Kothar on the first or second session.
It was the second session. It was right after you guys came out of after finding Kothar's dead shipmates in the second session and came out of the cave and put them to rest.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that moment for my answer, but then I was like, "Oh, Akari wasn't there. Shit." Oh boy, I'll try to fill the gap while other people are thinking.
You're good.
For Akari, it'd probably be the moment we wandered into Sangara and realized it was not what we thought, what we were told, and what we thought it was.
When you thought
it was a confirmation. It was a confirmation for Akari. In above all else that, and this is something that I parroted, you heard me again and again as Akari, and it bled into Aiden as well, or it was more me bleeding into Akari, is that nothing on this island was as people thought or as it seemed. Nobody knew any answers. Nobody really knew anything on this island. The mystery was far deeper, and the idea that there was a tribe of, hostile barbaric tieflings, and they turn out to be relatively peaceful druids, is just like Akari realizing, we got a lot of work cut out for us if we're going to do this right. And that was really some of the early sessions, especially between Fane and Akari. I was cold to him because I thought that Fane was not going to be, or I should say Akari thought that Fane was not going to be a party player. Seemed a little braggadocious, a little too what's the good word? A little little too optimistic and chauvinistic, and well, no, not really chauvinistic, but a little too optimistic for the shit situation that they're in. But that was really that learning that Sangara was not what we thought it was probably the moment for Akari where he's like, we got a real shot at actually living on this island. Like, we're no longer fucked, was basically what I thought.
Yeah.
Fane has the key ingredient for humility, which is loneliness.
Oof.
Oh shit!
Oh, sad.
Oof.
You out here
You
trying
gotta-
to teach us something, sir?
But you gotta stay sick. I mean, he was a performer, right? The charade is he mastered the charade, but he was very lonely. He was very lonely on the inside.
Got all kinds of friends and family now.
Yeah. Fane probably feels like he belongs for the first time, even Drakenford notwithstanding, feels like he belongs for the first time.
I think with everyone's backstories, everyone's characters have come a long way. But I think with the way everyone's characters started, I think Fane is the person who's made the most growth.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Matt. That was literally going to be one of my questions, was who everyone thought had made the most character growth.
Oh, it'd have been Fane.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Fane as well.
Who's made the most progress and whose journey am I most proud of? Probably Keyed Eyes.
Aw.
But who do I think has had the most growth? Fane. Hands down.
If we're talking about progress, I'd say Kothar's made the most progress. He basically set out
Yeah.
to do what he needed to do, and
Also true.
and
He became a captain.
he's an admiral.
True.
Admiral.
Kothar was
Yeah.
I mean,
promoted
he's
to.
still got to turn in the badge.
I don't
not
know.
a-
ranks,
it was not
okay?
it was not a official ceremony, but he was promoted to the rank. Actually, let me recall. I think it was vice admiral originally, because an admiral can promote someone to a vice admiral in Zartlas Navy. But
He's I think he's one below that. He's an 08,
Oh, wait.
He's a rear admiral.
yeah.
Mm.
But
But yeah,
Yeah.
That's not the actual term.
eventually,
Yes,
when
it
you guys get back to the mainland, we'll see if Kothar's rank holds up.
You could, there is honor in being a, what do they call that? Field promotee? What's the term for that?
Mm-hmm.
Like field admiral. It's a lot of times, like 90% of the time, they those hold up.
This whole arc was really like a backward step for Zamir, because it was really hard for her, because she spent her whole life really like putting dragons on a pedestal and revering them and learning about them and think like they were these holy creatures in her mind. And then she gets to this island and she has to kill them, and they're trying to kill her, and she's out in the world faced with violence for the first time. And it was really kind of like culture shock for her, and she's angry and she's frustrated. And so she really took she went from being non-violent to punching people in the face and stealing their beer. And so, I mean, she's going through some internal struggles right now. She's having a hard time. Her growth will come later.
The part that I loved about that is that I think I told you guys this whenever I gave the campaign pitch, is that I wanted to do something at the campaign that I didn't think had ever really been done before, and that was throw like a Titan-sized dragon at you session 1 and see how everyone reacted. And so I knew ahead of time that you guys were going to the Island of Dragons. Like, that lore was already written into my world, and I knew that's where the first part of the campaign was going to take place. And then you came at me and you were like, I want to play Way of the Ascendant Dragon. And I'm like, it's like these things just happen.
Yeah. That actually I was gonna say I can segue into my favorite
Your favorite?
moment. It's kind of like a dual thing, because I feel like one of the most memorable things for her would have been right before we crashed, when she first saw Zeltroy, because that would have been her first time ever actually seeing a dragon in her whole life, and she would have just been filled with like
First time
awe
seeing
right
a
up
dragon,
until he tried to kill us.
and then it's the
and
king of the
then-
dragons.
Yeah, and then probably like the happier like climax at the end of that would have been when my brain just died, but his sister gave us the boons, because it would have been the first time she actually got to like sit in the presence of one and not have to kill it, and like really get to understand like what it kind of furthered her like resolve in what she believed in, that like these things can be good and her life's not a lie.
Yeah, that's a little just segue into a little bit of the lore of my world. Is a lot of people, nothing against it, but a lot of people write in the world that dragons are just inherently evil or chaotic in most worlds, and in mine, it's the exact opposite. They can be whatever I decide they want them to be, or however their character demands them that they need be.
Okay.
Well, and we clarified that when I gave you my backstory.
Yeah, because you asked me.
I remember
you asked
talking.
me that.
Yeah. Because my backstory wouldn't have made any sense if all dragons were evil.
Kothar, you want to go on the favorite, or?
Sure. I think Kothar's most memorable moment from the island would have been like a long series of moments. It would have been the entirety of the chase for Andraxis, like that whole segment where like him and Bane, and it really felt like, yeah, like this is it, like he's gonna kill us or we're gonna kill him. That was a really cool moment. And then to have that lead directly into like captaining a ship away and like returning back to sea and having everything kind of be as it was supposed to be, right? Like Kothar has chased this enemy with his friends, they've smote him into the water, right? And then they sail away on a boat. Like that's everything he wanted 7 years ago.
That was a top tier scene. Like the whole, it was so anxiety filled. It was amazing.
I think the Andraxis like mini arc for the island was one of my favorites because I built him up to be like one of your guys' best allies, and then I felt like I just turned around and stabbed you right in the back, which is what was supposed to happen.
It worked, yeah. For Kedai, I knew the second that you asked, her most memorable moment was getting Maeve's armor. Because up until this point, it was, yeah, I'm this terrible monster. I've been made into this. You know, it was her realizing that, one, she can be more than that. Two, she can use it to her advantage. And, you know, that she's still worthy of something in this life, even if she is guilty of the things that she did. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty fucking cool.
I know I might have only glossed over it or hinted at it, or maybe I might have told you guys, I don't remember, but did you pick up who the armor used to belong to?
Frelia
and Maeve, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Frelia, and then her owner before that was the person who when Maeve originally crafted it and gave it to her.
Who was that person?
I don't know.
Ah, so we can ask very specific questions.
You can't ask very specific questions. Yeah.
Okay.
What was your favorite moment then, Matt?
I was gonna say, yeah, do we get a favorite for each of us?
For each of you? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
do one for each of our characters.
Jeez.
We got 4 hours to fill, baby.
My favorite moment for Akare, which was basically like a giddy moment for me, was the first time that I presented him the very first set of the diary pages. And the moment when I could notice that people were starting to tune out for a second, and even Aiden was too, because I could see he was trying to like speed read through it. But then the second that he realized, he's like, oh shit, this pertains to me. And then he like slowed down and started to read it, and everyone else, like as soon as Bella Rousseau was mentioned, and everybody kind of like perked up and tuned in and was like, oh shit, this actually means something. That was probably my favorite moment for Akare.
Yeah, I gotta go on record and say that I was hoping to hold on to that for a bit longer. But the way things shake out, you know, I mean, you guys have heard me wax about this for so long. If we needed a hook for people to see that we're doing something different here, I think that was one of the first drops that was kind of a hook to show we're not just doing any old let's play tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
You know, there's a deeper story going on here. If you've got the time you want to invest.
Yeah. Let's see. Another one that's really easy to pick out is my favorite moment with Fane, which was the moment when he confronted Yalis when Yalis was down in his like slump, wasn't eating, was like the philosophical part of Fane that came out in that, the RP from that. One of my favorite moments for Fane.
Oh my god, also just the philosophical part of Fane. Like, it would hit me in the most random moments. Like, I don't know where you pulled that from, Avery, but holy shit. Every just once in a while, I'd be like, damn, That's
I
wisdom
know.
right there.
I remember
Imagine
while that was
living
going
with him and
on.
trying to argue with him.
Yeah. I remember while that was going on, I messaged Zach. I was like, "Man, I wish Fane would tell me to get my shit in order.
Seriously.
I'd be perfect. I'd be set for life if Fane started telling me to get my crap in order."
It's that old
It's dressing
expression.
down the best way.
For Yalis, it was the like we're all going through hell. It's burn or keep on walking. That's kind of the crux of it.
For Edai, I think my favorite moment was the moment right after the the session right after the Andraxis started. I opened the session, or I ended the session with it, and it was when I was describing Kedai's dream, where the Verdant King like had his first,
Yeah.
the first time he taunted her, and your RP as Kedai there was beautiful. I loved it. That was one of my more favorite moments for Kedai. For Kothar, I think the moment where you guys finally defeated Uthal, you guys got away from Andraxis, you finally had a ship again, and then you got back to town, and then basically like, and it's not, there wasn't much RP for it, but the scene with you and Patran going off to basically bury the remains of Uthal was, I just loved the mental image of it.
Muted.
Yeah, I think if there's one place I'd like to see art done, it'd be that scene.
Yeah.
If I was gonna commission like a panoramic art, it would be that.
Oof.
Zamira's is a hard one because there's a lot of good different moments, and I'm having trouble picking one that I think I like more than the other. But the first one that comes to mind was when the very first like early days on the island, and Akari's like, "Oh, I can jump through the trees and do all this shit," and then like Zamira's like, "Oh yeah, I can do that too," and then like your first roll when you like made you guys make your acrobatics check to like go across the trees, and it was like a natural 20, and I'm like, yeah, it's like basically just Zamira's just as good as Akari, even though this is his thing.
Yep. No, that's Zamira's MO though, and that's like I talk about Singara being that moment when, you know, so I guess Akari talked about it, but this island and this whole journey on this boat was just a pit stop for him to go to the mainland and go to this academy where he thought he would have all the answers. And of course, he ended up finding the answers here on the island. But like that's why when we started, I was actually talking with somebody who joined our Discord. They started watching the sessions. They started DMing me about like the beginning sessions. Like, man, your character's really an asshole. And I was like, you know, in a way, they were right, because I went back and like watched those early VODs. That's because as Akari, like, this was just supposed to be a pit stop, and now we're fucking trapped in this island. There's a giant fucking dragon. I got people.
Now I have feelings.
Yeah, I got people I'm trying to save. But like seeing Zamira every step of the way like exceed in everything she set out to do was kind of one of those guide stones, as well as the moment with Singara when we realized it wasn't what it was, where Akari was like, we got a fucking chance here. Like, we're not stuck in these woods.
That whole, like, I mean, that episode, but when Akari and Zamira went off to go do that scouting trip,
yeah, their stealth
was
mission.
a whole really cool moment, like trying to keep hidden from the fires and like climbing through the trees together. Like there was some bonding in there.
You guys,
there was, and as players too, I want to give you credit, Emma. There was a lot of synergy there. There was a lot of synergy, especially for, you know, we didn't really play. We haven't played a whole lot of D&D together by that point. So like there was a lot of just being, you know, I'll just say good Dungeons and Dragons players and good team players. I mean, that was, I don't know. You know, that was as I was getting to know you and Hex both at the same time, trying to cobble all this together. I mean, of course, we met and we gamed and we talked before the stream, but there was still a lot of like, how do we play D&D together? And like, that's why all these sessions that kind of lead up to Singara, like my respect for both of you, both as players and as people, just continue to grow.
The one thing I'll say about your guys' stealth mission, and I'll see if anybody knows. In session 1, there was a campfire to the south of where you guys wrecked and you camped on the beach. When you guys had your stealth mission, there was a second campfire that you guys were like, oh, we don't have time to stop and investigate that, but you stopped to investigate it on the way back and you just found the smoldering remains of a campsite. Does anyone know what that was that you guys missed on 2 different times?
It was Aragods, was it not?
Was it the crew? Was it Kothar's crew?
Was it the
No, the
we
people
fought
from
when
the
we
boat.
found out it was devils or demons being summoned?
That's Aragod.
It was, and this honestly changed the whole course of the campaign. It was your guys' moment to reunite with Nagaratu, who was actually Altosia in disguise.
Oh.
It changed the entire course of the campaign.
Shit.
I was gonna ask that. Damn it!
Each time it was Nagaratu
Wow.
making camp, and it changed the entire course of the campaign because you guys didn't investigate it.
Matt, I have
Imagine.
because that's his sister, right? That's
That's
Zeltroy's
Zeltroy's
sister.
Mhm.
I have written here. I will fucking show you. Was it Zeltroy's sister or was it someone else in disguise? I was this close. I was this close.
Hmm.
Yeah,
that would have changed everything because we would have literally thrown in the towel without Tosia 100% at that point.
Yep.
Like
I
before
don't-
going to
we
Singar,
were-
before meeting
don't
everybody
know.
else that we cared about. I mean, we would have been like, yeah, you brought us this island. What's the deal?
Yep.
I think we would have thrown
She
in.
wouldn't have
100%
revealed who she
Nagaratu.
was, but she would have been basically she would have been your guide stone to explain why she came to this island and why she came to investigate Zeltroy. And slowly, you guys would have built up that rapport
Yeah.
with her until she eventually revealed who she was.
That would have changed everything. I
she
think.
was the tutorial giver.
Yeah, basically. At that point, I think we were like only 4 or 5 sessions in, and I was like, okay. I was like, they missed her twice. I'm not gonna try and force it. I'm doing away with her until a later point. And it was like it just changed the entire course of everything that I had planned.
I'm so upset. I should have asked
Fuck
that
up.
first.
No, you guys didn't. It worked out perfectly.
I don't know. Another really high. Well, I don't know. I guess there were 2, but with Kidai, the first time Zamira went down in combat and Kidai saved her, and she made the little wood carving of Kidai with the horns because Kidai was feeling insecure about her horns,
That was so
and
sweet.
she didn't want her to feel insecure about them because they're cute. And then when we decorated Fane's horns while he was sleeping,
That one made me super happy too. I actually had a question for Fane. Will he continue the tradition, or did he find it to be like we were making fun of him? Because it wasn't like that.
Fane was never offended at it. I don't know if I explained this or not, but he more just made you guys feel awkward about it just to turn the joke on you guys.
Just for fun. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense.
I have a question for Kidai and
Yeah.
Kothar. How do your characters feel about each other?
Sitting in
Good.
a tree.
Oh.
Feel good?
He was a cool person.
Feel good?
Cool.
How good?
Feel good?
He
This
does cool
is how
person.
Emma flirts in real life.
I'm actually blushing. Fuck.
Y'all are married in real life. What the hell?
He does.
No, you saw how Emma flirts when she tried to hit on Ezra. No, Emma's never flirted like that in her life. I would never say things like that to someone. I was like sweating saying
You're
those
right.
things.
Emma would say, "Have you been deflowered yet?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Are you a virgin?
Approaching the random
Go on a
women in
date
the
with
street of
me.
Ophila. Are you still a
Have you
virgin?
been deflowered?
Have you been?
How's your hymen?
Oh my god.
Is it?
Wretched.
Is it good? Is it? No. To answer that question, feel good.
Listen,
Yeah.
do you ride
It's
horses?
broken like my mental state.
Both of those scenes were so awkward to roleplay. Like hitting on Ezra, I knew Zamira wanted to do it as a character, but like I was so uncomfortable. I was like physically like sweating during that scene because I was like it wasn't like a hot and bothered thing. Like I was like so awkward and nervous to like hit on somebody that
Just
boldly.
bothered.
It was so hard to do that. My armpits were like sweating doing that scene.
Yeah.
But I
Doesn't
knew
help
she
the fact-
really
question.
wanted to
Doesn't help the
do
fact you
it
gotta
because
look
she
at
was
Matt
mad
when
at
you're doing it.
Fane. Yeah.
You gotta look at Matt
That's
when you're
supposed to
doing
mean.
it. What? It means
Matt,
I don't mean anything.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So during my 0 session, not to reveal too much,
I plan on
was
posting
as-
everyone's 0 sessions for the people's stories that basically have been completed to this point that aren't really hidden. So I mean, Fane's, Akare's, Zamira's. I mean, most of your guys' stuff that's in your 0 session is revealed by this point. So I plan on posting them for people to go and
Fane's-
watch if they wish.
Fane's is not.
Yeah, Fanes
Mine
is not,
doesn't have
Fanes-
anything
Fanes will not
left.
be posted. There's stuff
But
in yours that I think you need to revisit, though, Emma, because there's stuff that's going to come up in the second half of this campaign that I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I probably should
But
go back and watch it.
We'll worry about that a different day. But go ahead, Hex. I apologize.
So, question. No, it's okay.
Oh.
So during my zero session, I made my first pass at Ezra.
As Fane.
Am I here?
Yeah.
Oh. As Fane, I made my first pass at Ezra during my zero session, and you gave me a hint that she looked interested. Was she just messing with me, or did I actually have a chance?
She was just messing with you.
Okay, I rest my case. I'm impressed.
I got a question for Zach, actually,
Sure.
regarding Kothar, but a question
Sure.
for Zach regarding Kothar. What? I guess I'll ask a two-parter. What was your desire when creating Kothar, tying him closely to a navy, and more specifically the Zartalos Navy, which is, I imagine. Again, I don't know too much about Matt's world, but like the Zartalos has a pretty stringent military structure. So like you're pretty much, in a way, your character was stuck in there. What was the intent when creating someone so tied to a navy like that, with that kind of backstory where like basically you're in service, and did you get what you wanted out of it? Because I've never tried to. I'm asking as a D&D player because I've never tried to insert myself into an army or any sort of service tying to an entity. I always kind of keep my characters separate or write my own little small thing and ask the DM, is this okay if I have this little corner of your world?
So that's fair. Because I personally, as a character, do not like playing characters that like Oath of the Crown would never work, because I mean, I played Drusk in your world. Drusk is like the most anti-establishment character there fucking is. Drusk does not like establishment,
Right.
because I think that's fun to explore in Dungeons and Dragons, and I'd never explored an establishment character. So that was part of the reason. The other part of it was just, it kind of came as necessity based off Kothar's backstory, like where I start, because I knew where I wanted to start him, and I knew where I wanted to end his backstory, basically like where he would start session 0, and I didn't have a middle ground. And it was basically my thought process was, how do you get a troubled young man with lots of anger issues who becomes a teen who gets in trouble, like serious trouble, like enough to land you potentially in jail in the Empire, and how do you get them to essentially the lowest point in their life, like sad, but not in trouble, like they've now accomplished things, they have things that they have lost, so that, like, they've done things so that they can then lose those things and be at their low point. And the easiest answer was his trouble was essentially like he got in trouble, which I don't think he's really gone over a whole lot, which wouldn't be a super stretch. Kothar grew up in an orphanage, and essentially, like, there were other lizard folks, and he was the smallest, and they picked on him for being a runt. And when he was very little, and as he grew older, he got bigger and bigger and bigger, but had never like fought back, right? And then one day they picked on a younger lizard folk who was even like smaller, right? Like they'd grown into like their teens, and this was like a younger lizard folk, and the person that had always picked on him picked on them, and Kothar just fucking lost it and just like literally like beat him with an inch of his life. Like, the guy should be dead. I don't think he is. I think he's still alive somewhere in the world, which is going to be very interesting if I ever run into him, because I'm assuming he's just like a level 1 commoner.
Mhm.
Like, Kothar could punch him into literally the 9th layer of hell at this point.
Oh yeah.
Could mind spike him.
Yeah, Kothar could just mind spike him and then pull it up with a TPK. No, and I just kind of wrote it like, okay, like, if you get that kind of raw power, like, how does that happen? And like, what becomes of it? Well, now he goes into, he gets a chance to be offered into the Navy, or he can essentially go to jail. He picks the Navy. He meets the family he never had. He learns acceptance. He learns friendship. He learns camaraderie. He learns all those real happy things. He essentially finds where he belongs and then loses it all at Oldenheim. And then essentially spends 3-ish years in just a drunken stupor. Which I need to... Matt, that brings me to a question. What is Kothar's debt at the brass rail? Because we never got into it. But
the brass anchor?
I assume it's... Yeah, the brass anchor. I'm assuming it's substantial. In terms of alcohol debts.
I mean, when a drink's maybe a silver a piece over... what, 7 years?
No, it wasn't the entirety of 7 years.
Oh yeah, it wasn't the
I think.
entirety. So I mean, you could cover the whole thing with probably 50 gold.
But to be fair, a 50 gold drink debt is a lot.
That's huge. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a year's salary.
That's a lot of booze.
Yeah, Kothar was like $50,000 in debt, just drinking his life away. And at the start of my 0 session, essentially the guy that ran the orphanage just said like, "Hey, dude, you got to get your fucking shit together."
I do have a question for Kothar, if that's okay.
Did that? Oh, sorry. Yes. To answer your question,
Yeah,
did I get out of it what I wanted? I think it served its purpose up to this point. I am excited to see what becomes of that. You know, like I still didn't really get to explore what being an establishment character was. It just kind of served its purpose in my backstory.
I have to say, when you lay it all out there, Zach, I fucking love it. I love the idea of taking like the expansion of like a good story is like the theme, right? Like you start with the theme and then you expand the story based on it and see how it matches into the theme. And I love the theme of that, of just losing, like getting it all completely in the most satisfying way and then having it ripped away in one go. It's just the most tragic and inherently human story. I just like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. How does Kothar, has he really forgiven Fane?
Ooh.
Sustained.
I don't know, and I don't particularly want to answer that because I don't know if it's going to come up in game yet.
That's fair.
But I will say this: Zach, have not given it much thought past that night. So if it comes up, I'm going to have to think about it again.
Yeah, when he came back, I had like, we were like right post combat, and my mind was already reeling. And he came back, and I was like, well, we didn't like leave off on the best terms. Like we were pretty upset at him, and she said goodbye, but she was still pretty pissed. And I was like, no, like they've been through so much. She would have realized that he's still a good person. They just had a disagreement, and it's small in the grand scheme of things.
I think also kind of softened by the blow of turning away from Singar and away from Fane, and then, sorry, I don't mean to tell you how your character maybe failed, Emma, but then seeing Tristana and seeing the same leadership problems, or not Tristana,
Ophila.
Mm-hmm. And the same leadership problems that existed in Tristana, again, kind of repeating themselves, and realizing like, yeah, I mean, is Fane like the model candidate to behave that way? No, but on Oldenheim, he might as well be a AAA top tier choice.
Well,
because of the way everybody's behaving around here.
I do want to say that for Fane's in defense of Fane, like Fane thought the act was aberrant. He didn't think it was the right thing to do, but he did think it was Kythos' right to choose until someone took that right. And so that was why he stuck up for Kythos until the moment the deed was done, and then he was going to either kill or put somebody else in his place. Was the very next course of action. I knew that. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I think I was going to get... I didn't think it was going to be combat. I didn't think it was going to happen at all, like it did. But he knew that he wanted to, for his own sort of... From his morality, it was wrong, but so was, the killing of his son, right? And that was... So there was a fairness to it that he wanted to defend until he could do something about it.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's fair. But as far as like all the towns we went to and how fucked up they all were for different reasons. Well, I mean, Singar wasn't really fucked up, but that whole thing was kind of an issue. But Ophila sending off young girls as sacrifices was like so much higher than any of the other issues on the island to Zamira. Like everything else, even summoning devils, just pales in comparison to her
Oh,
scale
don't
of
worry,
morality.
We could tell.
Oh, we could
Don't
tell.
you worry.
We definitely knew it.
Love
She
you, Emma. We
was
could tell.
pissed. If she could go back and still fuck people up for that, she would. But she
Easy,
wants to
easy.
leave. But there will be a day. Their time will come, damn it. If he hadn't been Kothar, or not Kothar, if he hadn't been Akari's like brother and Astoria's son, she probably would have killed him. Or at least tried.
If we hadn't, well, I would have known because Kalu was in the diary. If we hadn't saved Astoria, I probably would have joined you in taking down Kalu, because the last experience we would have had was Tristana, and seeing a failure of leadership again. So I don't know whether Matt was like dead set on that actually happening. I think we just thought we could try it. Is that how it went down? Like Kidai, we just thought that we could try it.
I do think we were kind of grasping for straws at that point, like weighing out the most and least morally.
No, I meant getting the story out of stone. Like we were just grasping.
Yeah, we were just doing our best.
My original ruling on that came just before. I think I made the ruling on it just before the session when I knew you guys were gonna try it, and I was like, eventually I wanted you guys to get Astoria out, for her to help you in some way, but didn't want to make it that easy. So, but then whenever I read Greater Restoration, it specifically mentions healing petrification, and I'm like, I can't not let them use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
could have
think
counterspelled it.
Truthfully, if Astoria just counterspells it, no, I want to stay in. Truthfully, if we hadn't gotten Astoria out, I think Ophila would have been Singar, or not Singar, Tristana Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. and I would have happily thrown my bow into the ring. At that point, to upset the established order and establish something that was better. Which probably would when you take us 10 steps back and you look at it, are we in the right of doing that?
Exactly. That's kind of how I think Kidai was feeling in the moment. Like everything was very, no, you don't kill people, but he is saying that that's what he wants. Like, what do I do? Who am I to make this decision? Like, I'm not part of this at all, is how she was feeling at the moment too. So I kind of understand what you're saying there.
Without Astoria being released, I think Akari would have had even less reasons than he kind of already does to care about this family that AD001 used to have, because it's still, memories are coming back, and I tried to reason it out, like how's Akari processing all this? It's like one person over here on one shoulder whispering, you love these people, and one over here like, you have no idea who they are, and they're looking at you as like an idol. So it was very hard for me to try to parse out how to roleplay that and how to do that succinctly, and also not draw it out into 2.5 hour role plays, which we still managed to do. But yeah, without Astoria being there, it would have been even Akari would have been even harsher, which wouldn't have gone out well for everybody, probably.
We did get much better about like making our roleplay more succinct, although I do miss our long nighttime conversations where we made long rests take 7 hours.
Did we? I mean, did we really get better?
Oh, that was always my favorite part, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I was gonna comment on this eventually when it got brought up, but the long rest, like the joke's always been made, like you guys take a whole session just to get through a long rest because you guys would RP so much between all the watches, and it just made so much sense in the early parts of the campaign, though, because it was each of you guys, like, you guys didn't know who each other were besides being hired for the same job, and you were spending your time, what little time you had, with a singular person being like, okay, I need someone on this island, and you're just getting to know each other. It worked out. It made sense.
Yeah, I think, like, from, like, the arc was long, right? And I think for from like a perspective, it was like 60 days. Like we have to fill. I don't know. It seemed like we started to towards the end, like trying to get through the days because we all wanted to fight Zeltroy, right?
Mhm.
And so some
Yeah.
things like we had answered a lot of questions, and so there was sort of a timer on it. It almost seemed like, and so there was a little bit more focus on getting things done rather than sort of nilly dicking around. Not that the nilly dicking was bad, but that was kind of my sense of it. Like once there was we got to like a sort of a critical mass point where it was like 10 or 12 days or something like that, maybe longer, and we were like, well, we've done most of what we want to do, like let's get to the fight. So
Yeah. Well, I think that was one of the things too, and we talked about this outside and even inside of game, in our group chat outside of game and even in game as characters, is like, and I remember me saying it about Ophila is, and I think we all felt it. The stakes on this island were huge, and we had to know as much as we could. We could leave no stone unturned. It was too dangerous to leave a stone unturned. But then as we closed in, you got a good point, Hex. As we closed in on those like 12 in-game days, we had turned over all the stones. We had formulated our plan of action. And like at that point, the mood really shifted from we need to find out everything to we know enough. We don't have time to faff around anymore. Let's fucking go. Like, and I think the last couple sessions probably felt in terms of passage of time a little rushed and us being like, let's go, let's do this. But that was kind of the attitude from the start was let's find out as much as we can. And then once we felt like we did, we said, let's go,
mm-hmm.
Matt, well,
You went robot.
Good question.
What's up, Scholar?
happened? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Is it better now?
Yep.
What would have happened if Akari or somebody had taken that devil up on his deal to help us kill Zeltroy?
Don't know.
He's not answering that one. There's no way.
You guys did not make a deal with Asmodeus, which in the moment I should have made some different rulings. Looking back on it, because I've revisited it a couple times just to see how I ran Asmodeus to give myself my own critiques. But you guys, I think, ultimately made the right decision. But
Akari was gonna sign it.
Not taking the deal.
I'm glad I didn't.
We'll see what ramifications that has later in the campaign.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't. I don't know. I mean, maybe it will, but we left him his fucking weapon, so whatever.
All you guys said is you left it to sit there.
Also have a question specifically.
Who knows who came by and picked it up?
It's Artifact Weapon Friday. Come pick it up on Artifact Weapon Friday, brother.
Listen, as far as Kothar's concerned, that's not our problem. We told him where we were going to leave it.
Yep, that's true.
I have a question again for Scholar and Akari specifically. It's cursed, and I'm very sorry I'm asking this, but I feel the need to know. When you die, do you want to be recycled?
Roll out the blue trash.
You want to go first, Scholar, or should I?
I know what Scholar wants to do when he dies.
Oh, got it all planned out, do you?
Mm-hmm. Well, Scholar's too curious to want to die, so he wants to find a way to live forever. But
ooh,
he wants to. Maybe I shouldn't say it.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going?
I think I do.
You want to be used as parts for Akari because you worship him?
No, Scholar doesn't care what happens to his body necessarily. I'm sure there's some sort of religious, decorum that he'll observe. But when he dies, he hopes he gets to experience reincarnation.
Aw.
Akari's answer is very straightforward, and you can probably pick up on it if you've been paying attention to Akari's backstory. Spoilers for if we get to the end of the campaign and Matt asks what our characters do in the long run, and the long run being anywhere from the remaining part of our lifespans to anything else. Akari wants nothing more than his physical form, the body that he inherits, to be absolutely annihilated, destroyed, dismantled, unrecoverable in every sense of the word, because of the same reason why he's terrified of being, put through round 2 of what the oligarchy did to him.
I
Because
knew
they're-
you'd have a good answer for that.
and it's one of the terrifying prospects when Hex started playing Scholar. I was beyond scared that he had that because he was a Warforged and because he was in Matt's world, that they had found a way to take that away from Akare, to take that weight away from Akare, and to take that weight away from the character that I tried to write. They ended up doing a great justice, and for that I owe them both a massive props. But the idea behind Akare was he was created, captured, twisted to somebody else's needs, and I think no matter how far Akare goes, and no matter how far he manages to achieve, at the end of all things, if nothing else can destroy him, he's going to destroy himself.
Scholar will be there for
And
you.
as far as the soul goes, perhaps Scholar is right on that one. Reincarnation, whatever it may be.
Well,
I'm sure by
so
then Kaya will have told him.
my question for Akari was going to be, when you died and you asked me what you saw and I described to you, which kind of like the realization that Akari has a soul. What was your thoughts there?
You asking me or you asking Akari's?
I'm asking Akari's thoughts.
What he said. So this is what it's like to have a soul.
Fair
He
enough.
understood that the Micaiah, there are things in the backstory that I won't spoil, but I have described the Micaiah, this druidic of a form sort, the one that gives him his ranger powers, choosing him, but it wasn't a request, it wasn't a demand, it was just a proposition and an automatic acceptance from Akari as he was developing as a basically a newborn baby, but in a big old robot body. It was very much not like an obligation. It wasn't like an oath like a paladin has. I wanted to steer very clear of any crossed elements there.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially to get that experience from the Micaiah, showing that while I was chosen as a completely neutral agent, it was chosen because I do have a soul. And because the soul is what's going to allow Akare, he realizes, is what's going to allow Akare to make the decisions with every facet of a good being that he can be. And that's more than just being an action reaction, pardon the joke, an in-out, an IO machine, which is what Akare used to think that he was. Also, yeah, he typed it in chat, but I'll also say it verbally. Remember, if you guys have questions for us about the DM, PC, even D&D related, mostly campaign related, if you can, yeah, you're also just welcome to chill and listen.
Make him silly.
Make them silly. Let's get some levity up in here. We've made like 2 jokes.
I have a silly one.
Oh,
Sure.
God.
When is Kothar going to drop the Mommy Milkers routine?
Mm,
Go to get cookies.
Hit us with it,
Yeah.
Kothar. What's chest day look like for you?
That joke is a little tired, but not as tired as you are when you lay down on those big, sweet bosoms to rest.
They're soft and supple. He is 7'8" and 530 pounds. There's a lot of Kothar to lay on.
We could all share him.
He's
Kothar's
our-
Give
workout
me our group
routine
pillow.
is 12-ounce curls religiously, followed by just deadlifts. You lift the weight of your sadness, which is why Kothar
Listen.
is so big.
If you do enough 12-ounce curls in a day, you will get biceps, by the way.
Yeah.
Soup cans, do 1,000 of those every day, you get fucking yoked.
I love
Thanks,
soup.
One Punch Man.
Yeah. Just sit-ups and push-ups.
Zach, I got a question for you. At what point in the campaign did you decide Kothar was going to multi-class into Paladin?
Mhm.
That's a wonderful question.
Can I say my point of view on that one?
Sure.
He was very angry after a session. And I think it was because we were... I don't even remember why, but he was very angry. And he comes to me afterwards. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to do Paladin. I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, I'm going to do it. I said, all right. And then he told you he's going to do it. And that's my point of view.
Do you know what
I-
session that was, though?
No, the problem is Kothar's 2 paladin levels like and this is not a dig, genuinely. Like, I don't remember how many fucking sessions ago it was that I finally got that level in Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, I think, about 2 or 3 sessions before that. So it's been like a dozen plus sessions probably since I decided to multi-class into Paladin.
Yeah, it was a while.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what thematically like led me to do it, but then it got into my head like, oh, Kothar could be a paladin. And then I started thinking about like all the other things Zach, as a person could do with a paladin, like with Kothar's story and just mechanically in D&D. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is real fun playing a barbarian. I love whacking. I'd love to do one other thing, please.
Sure.
As much as I love just like turning my brain off in combat and be like, what do you do? Well, I stand in one place and I hit something twice. Which has its pros and cons. And I haven't gotten a chance to really explore it outside of combat yet, because most of Kothar's levels with spell slots have either been sessions where we're just talking or sessions where we're fighting. There hasn't been like a weird puzzle in between where I've gotten to use like the very unique paladin spells. Oh, aside from ceremony, that was kind of cool.
That was really cool.
That was dope.
And
aside from that,
clutch.
it was, yeah. I think it was just a combination of like me mechanically being like getting to the point where I was like, okay, like I know what Kothar does. He's going to do this for the next 12 level ups.
Sure.
I can throw Zach under the bus actually on this one and tell you exactly when he decided to become Ultimate Redemption.
Oh, why he messaged you?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
So
sorry, I said throw Kothar under the bus. I meant Fane. It was when the one guy I can't remember, Dole, when Dole was gonna be executed.
That's exactly what it was.
He literally said to me, "I'm now Oath of Redemption," and then like that was during the session.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, and then I did.
He was so mad. He was so mad.
He really.
It was hours.
We all fought. No. And it's not just Zach. We all fought in varying ways to get Dole in a way redeemed and or to pay his debt or to pay his due and pay his
it's just struck a chord, yeah.
But not with his death.
And
yeah, I remember very surely, and I just did a search through our DMs.
So
and he's like, I'm now Oath of Redemption, and looking around at the context, it's in that session.
Mm-hmm.
Two things.
And it's because Kothar changed his mind from. Well, no, sorry, Zach. Unless I'm jumping down your throat here, you had a change of perspective. You got your vengeance. It satiated you, but it wasn't enough, and you believed everybody could be redeemed.
No.
That was a real life scenario that prevented me from going Oath of Redemption. That was we had to cancel the session the following week immediately after Dole. And I think we might have had to cancel one more. And there was so much time in real life that I just stopped being quite as angry. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, because I remember going into that session and everyone was like, oh my god, Kothar's so pissed. And there was so much time in real life, I was just like, yeah, Dole's dead.
Yeah.
Which just, I mean, like, it completely changed the whole, like, we would be on a completely different Kothar arc if that would have been, like, if those would have been back-to-back sessions, and I would have been able to, like, if I would have had that vengeance, Kothar would have been redemption, like, I would have played it like Kothar's the straight man, and then his inevitable play was he was going to go back to the island, and redemption for Dole would have been smiting Fane into the ground.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was going to, like, he's redemption, and then at the last second be like, haha, joke's on you, it's actually vengeance.
So 2 things.
But there were so many real sessions that it just
So my one thing I was gonna say is I hoped that me playing on, because when you eventually pitched to me Kothar, you told me how he kind of like seldomly worshipped Uditir on the off chance you might go paladin one day, and I was hoping that maybe I didn't push you into it with the the RP that I presented with him. Or I think I saw it on your character sheet and asked you about it, like after your zero session or something like that. The other thing I'll ask is, do you guys want to know Dole's story or just leave it a mystery?
I don't know if we should dredge that up.
I actually kind of just want to leave it a mystery.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's tragic. It's tragic though, isn't it?
I don't know.
Did he get what's the one fucking spell? Does that I can't even remember that spell. Is it feeble-minded? Was that a permanent spell? I can't remember.
It is. Well, 30 days.
Oh, okay.
I think
I
if you
thought
cast
maybe-
it, I think if you cast it at 9th or something, you could probably wish
Wait a minute, Matt. If I'm right, then tell me. If not, unless somebody wants to hear it, maybe we can just. But if I'm right, was he on constant feeble mind from the fuckers from Tersana when they took over power from him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck off! I hate you.
I will say.
So is that a no or a yes?
It was I don't know.
So if I was right, would you tell me? I don't know. Fuck it. Who cares? It's useless. Go on. Sorry, Emma. I don't mean.
It's fine. I get the wanting to do something more than just like as a person who generally plays just casters, I'm so used to having like so much like range and utility options to like do things in and out of combat. And it's just like in combat, I punch. Out of combat, fast.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
And sometimes you're just like, I would like some utility. But the problem is that it's the opportunity cost for multi-classing a monk is so much higher than with other classes to multi-class, and you lose so much with them. And so it's really not worth it, because I've considered it too, because I like having more utility and more options.
Well, I've
But
always said
I just-
too, and this is something I run across all my campaigns, if you're going to multi-class, you've got to give me a reason why, and it needs to make sense, and you can't just all of a sudden, like, for instance, I think Hex approached me about wanting to multi-class Fane into maybe Rogue, and I was like, okay, how's he doing it? He doesn't just automatically on a jungle island become adept at all these things or an expert with lockpicks and stuff just because he took a level in Rogue. So we kind of like hashed out how he might have learned some of those things.
I sent him the way that conversation happened, Matt. I said, what would you think of Rogue? And you said, well, it'd have to make sense, right?
Yeah.
And I sent you the description of the swashbuckler Rogue, and it fit Fane to a letter. And I was like, and then I think you said you could probably get that one for free, but otherwise you need to get like a mentor or something.
Yeah, I think one of the stipulations is like you wouldn't have proficiency with like lockpicking tools because you don't just like pick that up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he didn't take that. I think he took stealth, and I think he took expertise in. I think you get proficiency in thieves' tools just for free,
Mhm.
but I didn't take the expertise in it. I took it
Right.
in charisma and persuasion, I think,
Or you would have, yeah.
it was persuasion and acts, I think.
But that's just
Well, I
something
think-
I've always done. So
Yeah. That was for like Kothar or for Zach and Emma. That was the reason I made Fane, was because Emma, you had said that melee classes are boring, and
They are.
I've always taken that. You've said Tybex. I made Tybex because you said that human characters can never be interesting, and I just thought with Fane, I'll just make a character who can make melee interesting. And
Which
so wanted-
I have recanted my stance on humans since making Ravine.
It's all about how you approach it. Like you can make it interesting if you're creative. Like with Thistle, he's only got 2 spell slots, but if you use him interestingly enough,
Well,
You just
while I do
radiant-
thoroughly
sickening
enjoy
radiance everyone.
Zamir, I wanted to try Monk, and it just affirmed that I miss spells.
Humans still
But I
mysteries in
think
D&D
that
change my
Rogue-
mind.
I think Rogue is the only thing that would make even partial sense for Zamir to be able to multi-class with, even if it's like 1 or 2 levels for this extra sneak attack damage. But
It has to
nothing
be a
else would
fast
make
weapon.
sense. Yeah,
Unfortunately,
and so I mean, there's really nothing that could make any sense, because she can't just go magically get druidic abilities.
And I kind of love that you said that, because I'm the exact opposite. Like, I know you guys have kind of watched me struggle with like spellcasting and how much utility there is, and being able to change it every day, and like remembering what I have going on. When I kind of find the opposite when it's super simple, when I'm a barbarian or when I was a monk in my first campaign that I played under Zach DMing, it was like I could find creativity in the simplicity. I could make the simplicity work
Exactly.
for me. And I I almost prefer that. Aiden calls it flair in his campaign, right? Like I can spin it, but with spells they're so focused, so nuanced and everything. I get really frustrated trying to remember every single little simplicity in a spell, even if it's something like Druid that I have played a little bit before. Like I ended up getting frustrated at points because there's just so much I can do versus being creative in a tiny space. And so I think
that's
really
especially
interesting.
true with druids.
Yeah.
It's like
It does bear mentioning, Liz. It's different in my game. The whole shtick about my game is you can get advantage from flair. That's
Right. Not necessarily that.
No.
I just mean like I can
what
find.
What I mean to say is even when it comes to spells, like there are allowances that I give based on how
That's
creative
fair.
players can get. That's the whole thing. Is I encourage player creativity. You're not going to find that at every table, and I'm not disparaging Matt here or talking bad about his
No,
game.
of course
or
not.
comparing his to mine. But you can get away with things like having a little animal companion in my game because you sold me on it. You know.
Right. I just mean like there was so much that I could do, but it was so nuanced to be able to do it that like it was easy for me to forget the teeny tiny rules. You know,
Yeah,
and I would get frustrated.
Overwritten for sure. They're overwritten.
I don't necessarily think that. I just think that maybe like spell casting isn't my forte, is what I mean.
There's an analogy for this, which is that like funk drummers have used 3-piece drum sets and are significantly better musicians than the metal drummers who have a 50-piece drum set and do the same shit every single time, right? Like that. There's only a few little you got 3 or 4, mechanics that you focus on when you're a martial class, maybe if that, and you can really focus on finding the interplay in all of those things rather than accepting the wording of the spell.
It comes down to whether you want to play something creatively or whether you want to know things by the books and be really good at all the rules. And I'm just not a really good at every single rule person. I can't remember them all. So
I just value the utility, like outside of combat, more so than in combat. Like just the sheer utility for any circumstance. Because like there's 100%. So many things that without magic that people are doing, and I'm just like, there's nothing I can do to help here.
Yeah, exactly.
I like being able to help. And so like being able to have spells outside of, it's mainly the outside of combat stuff for me, where there's so many times you're just like, oh, well, what are you guys going to do?
That's true. That's a really good point.
Yeah, one of the first classes I played in D&D, well, the first class I played in D&D was Ranger, and I fucking hated it. And with Akare, I love his versatility.
I love Rangers. I do.
Speaking of classes, can the next question be, what is everyone's backup character?
Ooh.
In terms of class?
What was your idea for a backup character if you had one?
Well, mine's built, ready to go, backstory and all.
You don't
damn.
But who was your backup character if you had one? You can just do, if you're willing to reveal it, if you're not going to change it, or if it's going to say, I don't know, maybe that's too spoilery.
Mine is a multi-classed fighter ranger, and the fighter subclass is arcane archer.
Well, there you go.
Mine, because I'm never going to use it in an actual D&D campaign because I fell in love with the idea too much, and I love all of the DMs that I play with so dearly, but I trust absolutely no one with the idea, because if anyone tweaked it even the slightest amount, I'd be very upset. So I made the idea and I can never play it, which is very upsetting. But I was going to play a Hexblade Paladin. Whose
Is that the one that
story...
you and I talked about?
Yes. And I've decided I can never play it in a game because I liked the backstory idea too much. And the backstory was... I forget exactly what it is because I'd have to pull open the document that I wrote. But he had essentially done something. See, now it's going to sound really dumb because I don't have the fucking document that I
It's not going to sound dumb.
myself. It's fine. and he had inadvertently like been the cause of the death of his partner, and like their child had been taken away under the possession of like this demon, and then he had essentially like tried to break the hex blade and go, God, what was it? It was full. Oh, it was Oathbreaker, because he broke his oath. And then it was just essentially him trying to garner enough power either between himself or his allies that he could essentially slay this demonic lord, which Lord knows what that would do to his levels, but fuck it, just to get his kid back. But it felt too like main character-y for like a D&D campaign.
Well, yeah. I'll let that one unspoken of. I did the same thing in your game. Well, not the same thing, but.
Did you have a backup character?
I do not have one planned. I will say I enjoy martial characters the best out of everything I've played so far. But we have a barbarian and a monk that I hold near and dear to my heart. So I would say my next stop would be rogue.
I feel like you would play the best rogue.
I really enjoyed rogue, surprisingly. That one wasn't too bad for me.
And the campaign now and just roll new characters. That's what I want to do. Now I just every time we talk about characters, I want to play a new one.
Yeah, I'm a new character junkie.
I know, that's why Hall of Fallen Heroes is just all you two.
We've gotten to play something.
Yo.
And only like two of them have actually died.
So Tybix was a legit death. Tysa was a legit death. What are the characters? Oh, and then
technically you don't know if Tysa ever died.
That's true.
Oh.
Tysa was lost to me. I liked Tysa.
Tysa was lost in the Astral Sea.
Guys, keep it to campaign 3. This is not. I'm kidding.
My backup character was a human rogue.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'd have a spicy new. Aiden, you'd have to play some kind of full caster, bro. But no wizards.
Yeah, Aiden, what was yours?
Yeah, is it a wizard?
I did not have. No, I did not have another wizard. I actually did not have a backup character whatsoever considered at any point. Never had a concept for backstory or anything. It depends on where we were in the campaign, and even forward going, like with Akari, depends on where we are in the campaign. I have never played, but want to explore, because I've always had a really hard time attaching myself to people's pantheons. Cleric.
Ooh.
But it depends on if/when my current character goes and where I think the campaign. It would be a long discussion with the DM, because if I was going to do cleric, it would actually be like nearly goody two shoes, like knowing the pantheon in and out, just from I don't want to know things based on the DM's religion roles that they feed me. I want to understand their pantheon and be one of those religious clerics that like understands the pantheon and the interactions of the gods, things like that.
You could, when Matt and I discussed Tybix, I think I wrote most of I wrote it as an interpretation of the religion, right? So that Tybix could, I could decide the way Tybix worshipped so that it made sense, his character could make sense in my own way. But I don't think I ever said, like, this is how you worship. God, what was the god's name? The god of balance. Vazathan.
Vazathan, yes.
It was never like, this is how Vazathan is worshipped. This is a sect of the Vazothanites. And that's how I, that way I could have my own stamp on it without...
As a quick aside, for those who know, and just real quick, Hex, that's kind of what I'm trying to do in your game with Kythian, but it's not as... That's why I went halfway with Paladin, is because I'm not... I really, especially with Ranger, returning to the first class I ever played, I have realized that Ranger, although it does have a rework now, is a class that, when done with respect between player and DM, has a lot of benefits and nuances to it that I never imagined. Cleric is definitely one of those. I'm sure there's tons of great Cleric players out there who love Cleric, and they work hard with their DM probably. That would be my prerequisite, though, is like getting it right, doing it in that manner. So my backup character would have been some form of cleric, probably.
I look forward to you
The
playing cleric
next
in the
step on my
campaign.
list to explore is sorcerer, because I've always said that I don't like sorcerers.
Sork life.
I feel like if I took enough time to consider the class, I could write a character I could be happy with playing sorcerer. But I would definitely play into the whole bloodline thing. I would definitely play more into the whole bloodline thing, et cetera, et cetera. It would be with some
fun
mystery
class.
sprinkled here and this, that,
Gonna
there.
have a devil daddy.
Nope, that's the last thing I would.
Did Matt just say something horny?
No, my sorcerer
More
is
of a
literally
joke.
made from a pact with a necromancer and a devil. She literally procreated with the devil to create my character in Avery's game.
Oh.
I'll say I'm kind of in the same boat Aiden is. Like I've had 4 backup characters, I think. That was the one that I described was the one that stuck around the longest, but like in the different points we've been in the campaign, like basically every time Kothar has like had a near-death experience, I've been like, okay, cool, like what would help us most at this point?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like I think at one point I don't even think it was when Kothar died, I think it was when we realized like we have no charisma amongst the whole party. I was like, okay, maybe a bard. That bard then became Burnor. Like that
Yeah.
basics became Burnor. Also because I just played a bard in Matt's world. I had at one point I had a cleric that kind of became Lanfan in your world, but not really.
Man, poor Lanfan.
It happens. I had
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and then the only other one that I had is I had a really awesome I was pissed at everyone for saying wizard, and I was like, fuck you, I'll play a wizard. And I had a necromancer that I was gonna play. That I think would have been a pretty cool idea.
I'm here for it.
That was one of the things I struggled with the backup character that I made was honestly of all the characters I've made, of all the backstories I've written, it's my favorite backstory I've ever written. It's also the most in-depth. It was the first time like I really explored building like a world and a civilization around this person. But it was hard because I was like, this is what it needs to be. Like, this is what I want it to be. But at the time, we still had Fane when I made the backup character. And she's literally a multi-class ranger fighter. And we already had a ranger and a fighter. And I was like, she doesn't really bring anything added to the party. And then when Fane left, I was like, oh, her value as a backup character just went up a little bit because we lost our fighter. But like that was a hard thing because I knew that she wasn't what the party needed. But I was like, if Zamira dies, I really want to play her.
Akari, it's time to die.
Again.
Got to get rid of the ranger too.
That actually leads into a question I was going to ask. Matt, there's no way to say this that isn't going to sound like a critique, but I don't mean it this way. I don't mean it as a critique. What was your idea behind, and are you getting the tension or the chance that you were looking for out of it by assigning a DC to a Revivify? Because I've never seen someone go that aggressive.
It is interesting. Like, it's an interesting choice.
I like it.
Just to add an extra level of like, oh shit, is this gonna work sort of thing. Like, it's more of like the soul can only take so much tearing before it's just not able to be brought back. So every time it happens, it gets harder and harder. And I guess the thing I'm looking for with that is just making it to where it doesn't seem like one person, if you've got enough diamonds, is able to be brought back in any innumerable amount of times. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where it's like, okay, your soul's been ripped from your body so many times, you cannot return.
Add some like there are like sometimes in D&D things become somewhat rote. Like you go into the cave, you kill the monsters, right? There's like once you get powerful enough, it's you start to steamroll and it becomes hard to bounce around. It's one of those few things that adds like real tension without being too punishing, right? It adds just a chance of not being able to come back. And adds some like, some incentive to not die.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, it just, and then, like when you have near-death experiences, right? This is the same in real life. When you have near-death experiences, reflection is a reflex, right? You reflect on your experiences more acutely when you're close to losing something, and so it forces you to build like on a psychological level. Having tension, like death tension, like separation tension, makes you attached to your character a little better in my eyes.
Well,
Being
let's
the
face it,
person-
we all live on the drama.
I guess I'll follow
Oh,
up and ask you
100%.
what everyone's
Oh.
thoughts on it are. Love it,
Can I go
hate it,
first?
don't, indifferent.
Can I go first?
I like it.
Being
Go.
the person that was casting it, it gave me so much more like not anxiety in a bad way, but like you said, like tension, like storytelling tension. And it kind of, after a while, I thought about it, and if that wasn't there, if there was no extra hurdle to cross, right? Then you're just putting a price on a life. You're just paying this much to bring back a life, this much in a spell slot. It's a currency thing.
Mhm.
The rich can bring back whoever they want, but if you don't, well, that also would have been a lot different if we didn't have the kind of gold that we had in the game. But seeing that we had already passed that hurdle and giving it a new one, it made it kind of interesting. I was frustrated at the time because I'm like, it's on my shoulders. But looking back, I'm like, okay, it was added drama, really. It was added storytelling.
What
so I get
a
it.
character moment that would be if you failed the resurrection for everybody involved.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be insane, like just for the sake of the story, not for the sake of that person. It would suck for the person, but from a storytelling perspective, the story that would add so much texture to the story when you lose a character.
Texture.
I'm not gonna
a
lie.
bumpy ass texture.
The first time I went down, I was like, ha ha ha. And then the second time I went down, the first time I died, spoilers, I guess. Well, why the hell are you watching the campaign recap? Anyway, the first time I died, I was like, this is funny. I'll get revived. And then I remembered there was a DC to it. The second time you guys were about to revive me, if it hadn't worked, I would have stood up and walked away because I did not want to weep on camera.
Well, sure.
I wasn't ready to let Akari go at the end of that fight. Oh boy. Anyway, I don't know, Zach. You got any thoughts on it? I think this is something that people can or will debate as much as they fucking want, for sure.
And if you guys are against it, I'm not gonna take offense to it, but I'm not gonna.
No, I love
it.
it.
I'm not gonna stop running it either.
Well,
It's a good stance to have.
let me say this as a DM myself, I like it because of all the merits that everybody's brought up. There's a reason why I haven't adopted it into my game because I thought about it. I thought it was very interesting, and there's a reason why. And it's for the same reason, that you have, is because you have a totem barbarian in your party.
Mhm.
And the amount of damage that you have to deal to them and the amount of action economy you have to prescribe to them in order to make it serious that if the barbarian there was a time when Kothar was about to go the fuck down. Like
I've
real
died
life.
like twice.
No, I meant you were about to go down in the Zeltroy fight. Like down, as in unconscious.
Oh yeah, I had 6 HP. Yeah.
And that was down to the wire. And that is good tension. It's like, oh fuck, we're about to lose our tank. But in order to do that much damage to Kothar, I mean, I have the same problem with rocks in my campaign. In order to do that much damage that's not psychic to them, I have to be careful how much I hit the other players. Otherwise, it feels like I just smite them straight off the game.
Damage isn't the only way to balance an encounter. There are secondary objectives. There are, environmental difficulties. Like damage is having damage being your only scaling factor is it's very binary. Like it's either too hard or it's not hard enough. It just doesn't give you a 3D sort of balance, if you will.
I think
True.
I think Matt and I both try very hard at that, and we're still. I don't know, Matt. Do you feel like you've learned that? Because I've
learned. I think the 2 extra levels that I tried to add to the Zeltroy fight was, one, the time limit. You guys only had 10 rounds before you pretty much were a TPK, and the secondary part of that was and it also falls into a time limit too. But the more he got his breath weapon back, the lower your guys' health kept going, and it's something that you get to constantly worry about.
That's true.
I don't know if it's
I
had to
mean,
worry
more
about.
like, so from my perspective, like that's a balancing factor for sure. Like that's a super good balancing factor for Kothar, right? Because it brings Kothar down to, well, not necessarily because he's still gonna have. Well, he couldn't resist it, I don't believe.
No, I
Maybe
could.
you did. You
It
did
resisted
resist
the
it,
damage.
right?
It's still
So
no
that's
matter
one
what the
piece.
damage was, it reduced his health by that much.
But this is something that you like if you watch, like I obviously love Critical Role, but Matt Mercer has multiple objectives in each fight, right? There's some are straight up fights, like a street brawl, and those can be difficult and punishing. But some of them either have like you have to avoid the killing the NPC, or you have to get the NPC and get out, or you have to destroy the pylon, whatever, right? Like even like in every video game, like there are no DPS burns, right? Like we don't do like Nox Ramus back in original World of Warcraft. Everything was just a DPS push, right? Like do as much damage as possible. But in modern boss design, they're 3-dimensional environments that you have to sometimes interact with and do things with. And you can scale really effectively with that. Just adding a tiny bit, like if you can convince the barbarian that it's a better idea to go rip a hook out of the ground than attack the boss, then you've given the barbarian a really interesting choice, more than just whacking stuff, right? He can still be good at what he wants to do. He's losing damage, but he might get a tactical or strategic advantage. It reintroduces decision making for the barbarian. Just things like that.
I think the point he's bringing up is like for me as Kothar to feel threatened. Like for me to feel threatened, like even if you guys are all at like 9 HP, I'm like, oh, like Kothar will live. Like maybe Kothar will just travel to the mainland at some point with his fucking 3,000 billion gold, and I'll pay someone to revive you all.
But that's
Right.
like that's the point,
Like the
right?
campaign
But
will
that's
be
the
over.
point.
Like
the campaign would be
point is
over,
that-
but like we might all live as NPCs. But for Kothar himself to feel threatened, like enough damage has to be done to me that it'll like one shot anyone else. And
That's the
I think
point.
that's
It's
the
happened.
problem.
It's
That's
happened.
the point, though, is that like you're the tank, like you're not supposed to be threatened, right? So if characters, instead of focusing on you, if you have distractions that keep you from interposing, right? Like you're an interposing force. You're not supposed to die. You're supposed to be to keep your friends alive. That's kind of like a tank role. Not saying that's what you have to do, right? But like it doesn't have to be, oh, they just have to do a shit ton of damage to the tank. They're just going to bounce right off of you, realize it, and then go pick on your weak friends, right? Like that's what a tactically sound enemy. So you have a strategic choice to go and interpose and pull them away from your weak friends, rather than scaling everything up to an insane level to kill you. They stop trying to kill you and start killing your friends.
Yeah, but to get back to to get to the revivify, like if something can, right? So let's not say should it, right? If something can do enough damage to scare Kothar, the likelihood of it killing someone in the party infinitely higher. You're gonna run into the mechanic of, is someone going to die because of a shitty roll more often?
Well, the person already died, right?
True. I like to prescribe the idea that Revivify is fast enough that the soul hasn't left the body. Like you have that minute where the soul's kind of like, whoa, in like this limbo state.
Yeah.
So to get that mechanic,
Sorry.
you just have to keep them from revivifying them for a minute, which you can do by either keeping them off of the corpse or just limiting the diamond economy. Like maybe there's not enough diamonds that are good enough grade for Revivify.
Well,
and I think that's how Matt Mercer runs it. Is you revivify, you don't need to roll any longer. Any other resurrection you have to roll for.
In my game, you don't roll for any resurrection. It just fucking works. Because otherwise it just, I don't know, it feels cheap to be like, you have the spell that says it can bring someone back, but I'm going to interpose a roll.
So I don't want to say that we should move on, because I know this is supposed to be about the campaign arc. I'm gonna real quickly say the reason why I have a DC prescribed, a growing DC like Matt does, to everything but Revivify, because in my world, the Raven Queen is the harbinger of souls. She does not yet have possession over the soul in the time frame of Revivify, much like Zach just mentioned. She does not yet have possession over the soul. She does not have the ability to tempt that soul to move on to the afterlife, regardless of how that soul feels about returning back home. So that's where the DC comes from. But I don't think Matt's, and Matt, feel free to pipe in if you feel like you got something, or I didn't want this to be a criticism. I didn't want it to be an argument, but
like I said, I'm not going to take a criticism from it. It's just how I run resurrections in my game. The only one I don't impose a roll on is True Resurrection.
Can I slightly butt in and say, like, yes, but also, Kothar, you were the one to say, like, maybe he doesn't want to come back. You know, maybe
That had less to do
there's...
with the role and more to do with the fact that it says the soul has to be willing.
That's what I'm saying, is, like, maybe that's part of it, is all I mean. Anyway, go on.
No.
No, because we have to roll to succeed, and then the soul has to be willing. It's a two-step process in that part. That's what I'm saying about.
If you look at it that way, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying. The reason why Matt Mercer does it, and the reason why a ton of other DMs, including myself, do it, is because the Raven Queen, at least in his pantheon and as in my pantheon, doesn't have possession of the soul yet. But as much as I don't want to compare ourselves to
The biggest.
I can't remember Exandria. I don't want to compare ourselves to Exandria and its pantheon. Like that is the reasoning behind it in my world and in his world. Is because someone is the harbinger of souls in that world, and they kind of take possession in a way. Not that they don't want to give it up, but anyway.
I do have a question for
I kind of figured how that one was going to go. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
Can I ask a question? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for everyone, including DM, and I'll give you a second to think about it. This started with Zamira, because my first question that I wanted to ask her was, what was your favorite punch that you ever delivered? Like, what was your favorite punch you ever hit with? And then I was like, well, fuck, that kind of extends to everybody. Like, what was your favorite in the campaign so far hit that has ever gone off and you just felt like, yes, that was it?
As character or as, like, us? Or, like,
either one. Either one. So for Kidai, mine was when those boats were leaving and I pulled down lightning.
Yep.
And lit the boats aflame. And that was when I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it.
MySpace.
Yes, bitch. I did it. So anyway, to everyone, and then to Matt, what was yours?
I've got mine if nobody else is prepared. Mine is when it got dark. Mine is when it wasn't even a hit. It was me literally telling Matt, I didn't even consult him. Oh, humanoids are my favorite enemy. Humans are my favorite enemy. I'm going to plunge this knife into Aragod just enough. Right up to the edge of his lung. He knows. God. Yeah.
I forgot about the torture scene.
You remember that scene? Yeah, and that was before Akari kind of started to get morals about him. Because he had just come out of this larger world and everything got fucking shit on.
Oh, yeah, because that was when because that was when I had to talk to Kidai because she was eating someone.
Yep. Was when Akari was like, I've got this knife at the edge of your lung. Do you want to die for your beliefs, dude? Or are you going to pipe up and tell us what the fuck? It wasn't even a hit, like an actual strike in a combat. But when it got dark like that's my player Aiden's favorite. Was just being able to use favored enemy in a different way. And I kind of, the way, Akari is with this hunter, ex whatever the fuck he is, galactic bounty hunter, whatever you want to call him, the assessment of what a human being's body is and what kind of damage he can do, even though it's locked in there somewhere.
My favorite was also Akari torturing Aragog. My favorite
shit was dark.
It was the double succubi to save the day. When I I think I had to flip to the whip to get like the sneaky long attack, and I got the 2 kills. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was good.
I thought for sure somebody was gonna die in that combat.
That was a very good combat.
Very close.
That was a fun combat.
The fact that I got the 2 of you and then just you guys took it and ran it perfectly.
We had a fucking plan, dude.
I know.
And then Matt was like, "You do this."
I got a message from Aiden, and he's like, "Hey, I cast Pass Without a Trace, and we rolled outside, and like one was like a 30, and the other was like a 39, and I'm just like, okay, I guess we'll see how this goes."
As is standard.
Yeah, we wanted to. My heart was so set on murder. I was like, I'm gonna jazz this campaign up real fast.
y'all fucked me up when y'all came at me, and then I was almost the one that made Akari dead, and I was Matt. Honestly, as a DM during that game, and the others might disagree with me, but like I even told Avery after that session because like I was really struggling with like being the one to have to like make the decision to kill Akari or not, and then you like took over and said what would happen. And I was so thankful for you in that moment because even if I had been the one to like, kill him, I didn't want to be the one that like made the decision or say that it happened.
Sure.
And like I was so thankful that you like took over in that moment and was like, no, this is what you would do. And I like the weight just came. Like I was like my stomach was doing like backflips. I did not want to kill Akari. Like
I thought I was done for.
If it was in Zamir's hands, that's one thing. But for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking punch him again because I knew he was like one punch away from death, and I was like, I'm gonna have to kill him. And I was so thankful that you like took over the narrative for what would happen in that moment because I was just turmoil on the inside.
Thought I was done for.
Great.
I don't, as a player, my favorite punch. I don't think Zamira would have one because she's angry on the island, but she was raised to be a more nonviolent person, so she's not really proud of any of them. But as a player, hands down, my favorite punch was stealing the guy's beer and punching him in the face when he grabbed my arm.
Yes!
Because the emotions in that moment were legitimately real. Because like I, as a person, was upset about the happenings, and like I was acting out, and so like all the emotions were so genuine that like I felt that so much.
Oh boy,
that's roleplay, baby.
Zach, you want to go ahead? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying like I was so intent on like just like I wanted to act out because I was mad like as a person, and so it felt like I got to go punch somebody. It was great.
As an emotional person, I like that's my favorite part is when I this is gonna sound so haughty when I say this, but when I like come down after like I call it a scene, but after a role play, like an intense role play, my favorite ones are the ones where I'm not thinking about what I would say, I'm just in the moment. I do this a lot when I DM, is I will just continue with the conversation as though I'm the person. And then like you have to collect yourself, and sometimes you just forget what you said after the fact, and those are my favorite roleplay moments, are when you just exist. It's all that character.
Zach, you go ahead with your favorite hit.
I don't think Kothar has one.
Okay,
we're all sad.
Mine wasn't a favorite hit per se, but my favorite part where I think I like dug into each character was when you guys first entered into the Feywild and the nightmares began to creep in from the Verdant King.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, wasn't Kothar the one that delivered the blow to Zeltroy?
Yeah.
Wasn't it you?
That's not your favorite punch?
That was just Taco Tuesday, ma'am.
No, it was good in like a boss is dead, woo kind of way. But I mean, for Kothar, like that, I don't know. I don't know if it hasn't sank in for him, like what that's going to symbolize, like that's their freedom, or like even by the time Kothar got like his hit on, I'd have to pull open his backstory document. Jesus, I forgot the guy that I killed 37 years ago. Uthal. I killed him, and then he's like, he's done. Even when he got the final hit on Uthal, it was like it's so bittersweet to him. Like he didn't want revenge. Like I don't know. He wanted revenge, but he didn't want revenge. You know, he thought he wanted to kill Uthal. When I think in actuality, Kothar just wanted to not have to been in that scenario in the first place, like 7 years ago.
Earlier.
Yeah. So like there's not a favorite hit. Kothar doesn't kill because he enjoys killing. Kothar is just good at fighting, and every hit is a good hit if it keeps his friends up. Like Kothar doesn't have a favorite kill because he doesn't take pleasure in killing. As absolutely wild as he gets.
It doesn't have to be a kill. I just mean like a.
The dark Fane is the dark mirror of Kothar.
Yeah, he is a little bit. And no, Liz, I know what you're talking about. Like, what is Kothar's favorite like hit, whatever?
Power move would be.
What's yours? Not
Kothar's favorite power move. Okay, so Kothar's favorite power move. I have that one. Kothar's favorite power move is also his favorite not hit. Was genuinely standing on the edge of where they were stringing up Dole and watching Fane like try to prep 3 guards for what he thought was going to be like a Kothar assault, like not knowing Kothar's at like 4 health, like Kothar's standing there on literally like the verge of death, like arms crossed staring them down, like watching them all prep, and like the tension that the 3 of you, I could see the 3 of you, not you Avery, but the 3 of you just be like, oh god, is everything about to go down? That was so much fun. That was Kothar's favorite power move, is literally just eye staring at Fane for that entire like 4 hours.
But secretly 4 HP.
Yeah, it's secretly like 1/10 HP.
I think in that particular moment, I don't think Fane knew that or understood that entirely. I think during that piece, I think Fane was like, I don't think he had an idea of like imposing. Well, it was an imposition of will, but it was like he was more just making preparation for it. He didn't really have the outcome right, but because it was Kythos' thing that he was defending. Like if it was, if Fane had failed, then he could have at least honestly said that he tried to do what he viewed as the right thing. And so I don't think he like had a desire to fight or knew if it was going to come to a fight. I think he felt better knowing that he did what he felt he should.
That's fair. I think that's still my / Kothar's favorite power move. It's just like the sheer look of like, oh, gotta prep these 4 dudes to hold back this one lizard.
Yeah, that whole
Kothar would have blown through
episode was so good.
No.
I don't think
because Kothar isn't considered huge, so he would have actually been affected by like all of the Battle Master maneuvers, and it would have gone absolutely piss poor for him.
And Fane, I think that came up in the 1v1. Fane's wings and distance made a difference. It would have been an ugly fight, and like if as soon as Kothar got close, I don't think Fane would have gone wings just for the honor of it. But as soon as Kothar got close, it would have gotten ugly for Fane.
Yeah, Fane is annoying to fight. I can attest to that for the 1v1s that we ran.
That's all I wanted out of Fane was him to be just tricksy.
Yeah, he is very annoying to fight. I don't know how it would go now if we fought. I'm super fast now, and I have the ability to get away from you.
I also built Fane specifically to be supremely annoying to fight one-on-one. Like that was like specifically to be a duelist, like to kill humans or similarly sized creatures one-on-one.
And like you never change. I don't know how to go now. I'm so fast.
This is my first.
Are you gonna fucking go so fast you get a little catch a little air and get a glide up to 30 feet off the ground?
Oh yeah,
I can already do that.
Emma, the person who's got 90 feet of movement, and she's like, I'm gonna take mobile just so I can have 100.
It's my first time. I've spent a lot of time playing halflings and gnomes and stuff, and so I'm used to having even like extra limited movement, and this is my first time having more than even a normal amount of movement, and it's awesome.
You're actually to give props to Matt. You're in a lot of luck because Matt is one of the DMs who doesn't run 60 by 60 grids where we all stand around and beat the fuck out of each other for no reason. You actually have an opportunity to use that speed. Matt runs those kind of encounters. That's not, as someone who plays a lot of D&D, I'm not trying to be snooty about it. As someone who's played a lot of D&D, a lot of it happens either theater of mind, oh yeah, it's 30 feet, you can get there, and then everybody's just sitting there beating each other up. On Matt's battle maps, you actually have the chance to tactically maneuver and do this kind of thing. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm just letting you know.
I love the speed. It's awesome. It came in super clutch with Zeltroy.
Yeah.
Some games you play in, 30 feet's all you need.
Yes.
Yeah, I was able to run up and punch him and run away and get farther away.
You could already do that though. You specifically
I
took a
couldn't-
boon from a dragon to have that, and then you were like, you know what? I'm gonna have it again.
Well, I more or less took mobile for the level 20 Zamira for the unrestricted getting away from attacks of opportunity, because I knew that was mostly what I was going to have to do against him, was run up, punch him, and then use the rest of my movement to get away. And with the boon that I got from Altosia, I could only do that 3 times.
I think looking back, you only did it 3 times though.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't know how the fight was going to go, and I didn't want to be restricted on that. And the extra movement also came in handy to be able to run like up him, which I only did mainly the first time because I was the only one, or Kothar didn't either, or no, he did. I was the only one that didn't take damage from that first huge thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get his attention so he wouldn't come back at them again, so they had a round to assemble themselves. At least I used myself as more of a distraction because I had the movement to weave in and out and get in and out of there without completely getting fucked, as well as having evasion.
I
Like
think
that shit came in clutch.
What's that?
Do you have a favorite hit? Or
Oh, I said mine.
power move? Or which one was yours?
When I gave you guys all your scenes for the nightmares when you guys first did.
You're right, you did say that. Yeah, that's fair.
Getting to give hints for everyone's different backstories without being too direct to it, but each person knew exactly what I was talking about, and then just like
I did not.
playing on their characters' emotions. I know you don't.
Neither did I, man. I didn't pick up on it.
But
I knew it was something I wasn't supposed to understand. So
yeah,
I still have a lot of questions. How's everybody else doing?
I have a couple left.
I was gonna say we could take a quick break.
I haven't planned any of my questions so far, so neutral party.
Well, I had like 3, and I knew more would come up like as we started talking.
That's
and they
true.
have.
We're gonna take a quick
Brain
break here,
juices.
guys. A breather. We're gonna refill our drinks, grab a snack, get some water, hydrate. You know, all those favorite things. So settle in. We'll be back here in a couple minutes. Don't go nowhere.
I will not be
Don't move.
hydrating.
Don't move. They can
Let
only see
him
movement.
slander me. Whew. I'm making my brain work today. Am I in trouble? I feel like I'm in trouble. Am I in trouble?
Me? You? No. Why would you?
I don't believe you. Because Hayden's laughing.
No. Stared off into the distance for 20 seconds.
Okay, I'm not in trouble.
I don't get the wrong.
No, it's literally because I said nobody move. They can only see movement, and Zach and I both sat there, stoic, not moving at all. Him staring at me on his monitor, me staring at him on my monitor, and it was only after Matt did the map scroll for like another 15 seconds that Zach fucking moved.
Hayden says I'm in really big trouble and you want to divorce me.
What the hell? You gotta get me in trouble, my damn HUD.
You didn't share any of your cookies with me.
You want a cookie, ma'am?
Yeah.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you the cookie. You want a cookie?
Yeah, I want a cookie.
Yeah.
I want a cookie. Can I read you my notes? Or can
They're
people
pretty
still hear us?
Yes, they can still hear us. Like
Okay.
always.
I'm gonna take the risk, and then as soon as everybody gets back, I'm gonna go get my own drink. I'm gonna read you my notes, okay?
Oh my god. Well, you're reading is the
So-
chat too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
Okay.
I've got my whole session 1 notes with all the names, all the backstory, everything. Like everything is perfect, everything is sublime. Session 1, it's a pretty good little recap. You know, like mission, go through the ocean, Nagarathu, big storm, mast on fire. I'm good at cheese. Akari will help me learn how to cook meats. Big ass black dragon killed Nagarathu. Anyway, it goes on, right? Session 2, fight big squid. Continue into cave. Find shipwreck campsite. Ravaged. Anyway, Kothar recognizes ship. Find box, Kothar's friend. Massive sludge hand. Session 3. It is just 3 question marks. That is my whole notes. Session number 4. I am bad at notes. Session number 5. Captain Petrink, Kothar's former captain. Brass Dragonborn. Knows some of the village. Druidic leader, Frelia, spelled Frealia. Session 6. Frelia prays to Maeve to save the village. Session 11. Heal Fane's cousin Yalis, using herbs, Sendoza, some sort of sea dragon.
Hold on.
Session 12.
Hold up. Did you just jump from session 7 to 11?
No, session 5 to session 6 to session 11. Session 12. This is all lowercase, highlighted in teal, and it is just the word bad.
Please
Session
stop. You're hurting me.
13. Kill one of Verdant King's seeds. Save Maeve. I did eat husband. Session 14.
I did eat husband.
By the way, he wasn't my husband. I don't know why I said that.
I think whenever I constantly called him your mate, and I think that's how you said it to me.
Yeah, because my original note said the word lover.
Yeah.
Session 14. Go wherever we want. See Black Dragon. GRDRAGOM. Session 24. Frelia's Grove growing back. Village will make it because we saved Maeve. Okay! Exclamation point. Session 32. Amara. And actually that one's pretty good. It has everything that I was carrying. I did pretty good on that one. Yeah. Session 36 was a scholar named robots as a gesture for me, but they're not my robots. Dragon 117 health. And then it begins my questions. But I do want to go back, and I want to read this one passage for you. Because it is a quote from Zeltroy from session 1.
Uh-huh.
So when he flew over us, and here is how fast I was typing, because, I'm not the best typist when I am flying, Yeah. Quote, Zeltroy. My island, Altastaria, will break down and burn under my wongs. You're welcome for that.
I could read you exactly what it was if you want to hear it.
It was wings.
Well, no.
But
Like
the
whole saying. I have it wrote here.
Well, that's all I had. Was my island Altastaria will break down underneath, break down and burn underneath my wongs. And I spelled his name terribly wrong.
The quote was, pain, agony, my shadows burn through the cavernous depths of this island. The world heaves with my torment, its wretched kingdoms quake beneath my rage, but at last the whole of Tilstaria will break, and all will burn beneath the shadow of my wings.
Wongs. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good.
If you took out the wings, it would sound like that was a saying for Kothar. Talking about bosoms and rages.
It doesn't reach in bosoms at all.
They're heaving things.
Yeah, something about coming in cavernous depths, I remember.
Something like that.
I since everyone's back, Matt, I have a question for you, even though I'm 99.9% sure you'll tell me you're not going to answer it.
Uh-huh.
When we were fighting Zeltroy, it was starting to look bleak right before he died.
Yeah.
And I had messaged Avery, and I had the thought of like a last stitch, anything like fuck it, we're about to die here anyways, of like running up his mouth and shoving, or like running up his face and shoving my Dragon Ball in his mouth and seeing if it would do something.
Well, one, you would have had to take it out of the bag of holding from Kothar and then go and do it, but yeah, I'm not telling you.
I didn't think it would.
Would have been like a cliff bar to him, is what I said to Emma.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't know, but I mean, I figure if we're gonna, like, I had no idea what it did. It could have made him super powered. It could have imploded him from the inside out. But I was like, fuck it, if we're about to die, Like, what have I got to lose to try?
Here's a question about Zeltroy.
Uh-huh.
In session 14, we kept getting woken up by, or we kept noticing, sorry, not woken up, we kept noticing with good perception rolls during watch that there seemed to be like screaming or yelling coming from his mountain. What the hell was that?
The women being encased in crystals.
Oh, because you said it sounded kind of like Zeltroy.
There were dragon and conic screams to it, but it was the women being encased in crystals, and there was some more to it there that I had pre-wrote that you guys didn't get to, so I'll just leave it as a little bit more of a mystery.
Can I just say,
alive that long?
Can I just say, what a cunt? I fucking hate that guy. Jesus. I mean, I know you're supposed to hate the bad guy, but Jesus Christ.
Matt, very important question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sexy is Zeltroy?
Not nearly as sexy as Asmodeus, but he's up there.
What about Fane? Where does Fane rank?
That's true. Fane does need to be on that scale.
If it's a scale of like 1 to 10, you've got Asmodeus at 10, you've got Zeltroy at 9, you've got Fane at like 7, like maybe a couple steps below.
Wrong.
I mean, that's still fairly high when you consider who 10 is.
That's it. Who wants to take
I
over
would
this
have given
channel?
myself like 8.5 at least.
When you consider who 10 is, that's still fairly high on the scale.
Yeah, but like, okay, so we got the reference point of 9, but what is 8? Who is 8? What if Fane's 8? What if Fane is the benchmark for 8?
Maybe Fane is 8. You guys haven't.
Fane.
I think I'm as pretty as Zeltroy at least.
Maybe Scholar's 8.
Scholar's pretty too.
Thank you for laughing.
Speaking of, I do have a question for Scholar. Well, Kita has a question for Scholar.
Mm-hmm. I played.
Would you like to go into business with me?
Oh, that's a spicy question. It depends on what's the business.
Well, I have not quite fleshed that entirely out yet, but I will let you know. I will message you.
Okay, deal.
Okay.
Scholar is oriented around Akare still, being of service to Akare. So as long as
unhealthy parasocial relationship going on here.
Well, demigods and all. It's
wow.
He's pretty open-ended about what he'll accept because he's pretty chill as long as he can be of service in the way he feels he needs to.
He's open-ended for Akare.
We don't have those orifices installed on these models, unfortunately.
Zach looked like he just died. He just powered down on that one.
Later generations.
I will say that, it's not super related to what we were just discussing, but I was thinking earlier, there's been hundreds of super great role-playing moments, but I think one of my favorite was in the first episode when we had just hidden down in the cave after we had landed, and we were sitting there talking, and Kothar had mentioned how weird it was that he was straight at here and things like that, and everybody was saying how much they wanted to get off the island, and Zamira was just like, well, I'm supposed to be here, and Fane, Akari, and Kothar all just had this I'm sorry, what now? The look on everybody's faces was just so good, and I felt like it was just such a genuine moment, especially from Fane, considering that Avery had read my backstory and knew what was going on, and he still just played it off like Fane was shook. And it was just a fun moment.
For sure. I just want to go on the record and say that what Lissa just sent me off via DM, it's going to be a surprise for everyone. It's going to make you happy. Is it
what we talked about, Liz?
No,
nope, it's sure not. I didn't say anything to you, Matt.
Oh, okay.
It's great.
Just veto it.
It's
now.
really good.
Can I ask you a
question?
Well,
Yeah.
Is it a lube business?
Oh god.
Actually,
Oh,
no. This is me and Scholar, not me and Fane. Those are the other. That's the other business.
Yeah, the Fane body oil.
Mm.
We could do that. I know herbs.
I know herbs.
And Jesus.
I give you muscasita, a little bit of lavender, some jasmine, and some orange. And
Make me
you'll
smell real nice.
You smell so good. Girls will be clucking all over your eggs all day. Like,
Tell me what now? Hold on.
my question. We've talked about the positive, but from a rumination standpoint, is there something you guys wish you could have done with your characters that you didn't? Not for not for mechanical reasons, but from like somewhere where you felt like you wanted to be something different, and it kind of took itself in a different place, a different vision, or a diverted path, something like that.
I can go while everyone thinks, because I think I already kind of spoke about mine. Immediately following the burning and that whole, like, the whole Fane thing, like, just the 2 weeks we had to take downtime for various reasons, like, in real life, like, really simmered my emotions in that. And I'm glad they did, because I think it all turned out really fun, and, like, Kothar's in a good place, and he's got a good oath, and, like, it all makes sense for the story moving forward. I really want to know what that other Kothar is. I want to know what that other path is. The one where, like, he stays mad at Fane, and, like,
Where that story goes.
I don't know. Yeah, like,
It would have
timeline.
been a goddamn duel of the fates, man. It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
That would have been Anakin, Obi-Wan, you know, like,
You were my
the
brother.
turn. That
Yeah.
would have been great. I was excited for us to be able to explore that, because I think that would have been really good. And it just, like, real life came in the way, and by the time it came to that session, I didn't have the energy to, like, be upset at Fane, because I'd too long had happened that, like, I had processed what Kothar would not have realistically been able to process in, what, like, 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would have been so spicy. We should do like a level 18 1v1 just to see.
Just
Because I want the answer to that question, like how that would have ended ultimately.
just for sexy purposes.
Instead of the wrap up next week, can we do a battle royale level 20
No,
next week, Matt?
Next week's not a wrap up. It's
Or
yeah,
the downtime? Yeah, that's what I meant.
We'll do some RP. You guys are back on the mainland. You scout out your castle. You do some shopping, and then we go through what everyone does during their RP, or I mean during their downtime.
Whoa, spoilers. Jeez. What the hell?
But after that, can we battle royale?
I'm sorry, you guys You guys have already talked about buying a castle on stream, so not really spoilers. But if that's what you decide to do. But no, we're not doing a battle royale.
Is Zach frozen, or is he just in the sauce?
He's frozen.
Both of them are frozen in the most wonderful expression. Screenshot that. Screenshot it.
Oh,
No, they moved.
I swear to God, dude, Zach, you were frozen. Just,
You're like,
The beautiful thing about
It's so
Twitch is you
deep
can
in
go
the
back
sauce.
and he'll still be frozen.
oh, we
that
can
was
go back to the
amazing.
VOD.
I
Lissa was like perfect bliss, and Zach's face was like 4-dimensional.
I was the stupidest smile you ever did see. I was no brain cells.
I think with, or you can go.
No, go ahead. Because go ahead.
I got one for everyone when you guys are ready.
You can go.
Well,
I don't even
he's
know
gonna
what
ask
the
a different
first-
question.
Oh, new
This is a
question.
different
Yeah,
question,
we're
yeah.
still on.
Oh, I struggled a lot with, because I mean Zamira changed so much, and sometimes I wish I would have been able to more stick to her like Zen fortitude that she arrived at the island with. But I mean, characters always kind of take their own life form and just kind of progress in ways you never imagined. And looking back, I realized that it does make sense, because she would have been experiencing so much just inner struggle and turmoil through the whole thing that it would have been really hard for her to hang on to that fortitude. And I envisioned her as being someone so much sturdier than that initially. And sometimes I wish I would have been able to really stick to that a little better, but I think it makes sense for how it played out, and it also allows her more room for growth in the rest of the campaign, as opposed to just her having her world turned upside down and she stays stoic through it all, and then what the fuck else is going to phase her for the rest of the campaign if she can stay sturdy
I
in
was
the
going to
face
say,
of that.
like, I feel like the way that you did it was perfectly, like, I don't know what word other to use than graceful, because you, like you said, worship these beings as gods, and then all of a sudden you have to go and hunt them down because, that's better than little girls dying every single year. Like, you had to make this moral compass decision where your, loyalties kind of like coincided with everything that you've loved and revered for your whole life. And I thought that the way that you did that with Zamira was really nice, because you could kind of see the struggle that she had with facing something that was so dear to her, especially like after a combat, you would like go and make sure to pay your respects, but also you had no hesitation when it came down to saving the lives of people that you also valued. And I thought that was really, really neat to see. Was like, yeah, you could tell that she was stressed out about it. You could tell that, it was breaking her down. And I think that was a lot more story driven than if you were just completely like stone faced the whole time. I thought, even if you didn't do it on purpose, I thought it was incredibly well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, here's my question for each one of you. When you guys originally, like, and I gave you guys the campaign pitch, and you were going into the campaign, everyone had the idea for the characters they wanted and their backstories, and like, when you go into a D&D game, you kind of expect, to your character to somehow turn into like an epic story. Basically, you guys become heroes and all that stuff. But this wasn't a typical D&D, the intro to a D&D game, at least. This was, you guys are not epic heroes by any means. You don't have this massive rapport with different villages and NPCs that you can throw around.
Sure.
You don't have those connections whenever you return to the mainland. You guys are still what you were when you returned here, just stronger by a different standard. So how do you think that difference of what you expected your character to be going into this campaign for what they are now is like? What do you think that difference is? And secondly, did you enjoy it?
Personally, so I had my answer prepped for the last question, and it kind of ties in. When I was making Kidai, it was very much like a progression of a monster. Like I said, like that moment where she got the armor was her like flip around, like, I'm worthy, I can keep going. But you kind of changed my mind with that. It was like, use it to your advantage. Keep going. Here's the things in this world that have been given to you to use on purpose, and keep going. And I really enjoyed that because it wasn't what I thought, but I think it was more aligned with how I play things. I'm not a really negative person. So being able to do that and spin it in a whole new light.
Oh no.
Oh, she's gone.
Oh no.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Second.
What was? Can you recap? So I was thinking about my answer for the last question, Matt. Can you recap this question? Maybe I can meld them.
The question is, whenever you wrote your backstory, you obviously had an idea for what you wanted your character to be. Whenever you presented it, because you expect going into like a D&D game, at least most people do, because I mean that's the way I expect going into a D&D game, that you expect to be epic heroes by the end of it, and you have all these connections and these relationships that you build with NPCs, and the way that I ran this first arc, this campaign, you don't really have that. You don't have this rapport as like
Right.
as like an adventuring group or anything that you can tap into. So the first part of that question is how do you think that changed the path of your character or the growth of your character? And the second part is did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it being a different style of campaign?
Well, I'll repeat what I said earlier, and I'll try to keep it short. The Oldenheim, or the boat that I was on, that Akari was on, was always meant to be a pit stop for him. He needed passage. It was a boat. They said, "Come with us, do this thing. We'll drop you off here." That was my spoilers, zero session. That was the progression in terms of where Akari goes in my zero session. There was a promise that I would get where I needed to go after this ridiculous thing. Marooned on an island, much later. There I am amongst newfound. Oh hi.
No!
Oh, there I am amongst newfound friends. Let me just. I'll be in frame. Give me one moment. Okay, there I am amongst newfound friends, and we're on the struggle bus. We can't seem to achieve anything. Am I happy with the way things panned out? Yes. I always intended to kind of hold on to the. I know I said this before. The whole Akari thing, or sorry, the whole Warforged thing, a little longer. But in a way, Matt, you did a beautiful job. This is the Island of Fates. And that's really kind of when Akari is walking away from it. That's kind of what he's realized. Between Kidai, between Scholar, this is the island that. You know, he thought this was just a pit stop, and it turned out to be everything that he needed. Am I happy from a player standpoint? Is that also part of the question?
Yeah,
or
like,
am I happy
with
from
where
the
your
character?
character, like how your where your character is now because of against what you? It's kind of the second part. Like, are you happy with where they are comparative to what you thought they were going to be?
Sorry, I gotta stay in frame.
If it goes a little bit longer, I'll adjust.
It's a double-edged sword. You know, I said earlier that I wanted to hold on to the Akari thing for a little while longer, but also I'm very glad that it came out when it did, because if somebody is watching our first, whatever episodes, they hopefully get an idea or an understanding that we're doing something a little bit different, to show them that we're not just doing, go in this dungeon and fight orcs, which is perfectly fine, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. But that's our flavor here on Friday Night Dice, and I think the reveal of that helps. It's definitely the opposite of what I thought. I thought that Akari, or sorry, the Warforged nature of Akari, sorry, I gotta stay in frame, would remain a mystery until well after this pit stop, until we were somewhat established. Oh, here I am. Sort of.
It's somewhat better until they rejoin.
Yeah, it good enough? Question mark. I don't know. It's kind of scuffed, but who cares? I also like to kind of ditto what, I can't even remember if it was Zach or, geez, maybe it was one of you two. I couldn't imagine any other way at this point. To Akari and to me, to Aiden, I'm not shocked as a player, I guess. In a way, I mean, I was kind of hoping to hold on to that as a player, just to shock my friends a bit more, like, half a year in or whatever, instead of doing that at session, let's just say 7. I don't remember what session
3.
Okay. Wow. Instead of doing that at session 3, in order, doing that at session 25 to drop that on my fellow friends and be like, yeah, me and Matt did this all along, that would have been entertaining, but I don't hate it. I mean, this, as a player, I understand, and also as a DM, this is the Island of Fates. This is where the threads of fate intertwine, and you become more than you're meant to be, or more than you were supposed to be, or more than you sought out to be. Right? Mm-hmm. Tragedy brings you to that. I definitely did not expect, but I'm also not mad, for the record, that my characters past in Ophila, or my previous and pre-amnesia characters past, Phila is here. I think this has turned out to be a beautiful story, and I want to give you serious props for that, Matt. From my perspective as a character, anyway, Akari's story on this island, in my opinion, has been beautiful. There were many times when I was like, "Oh boy, is this going off the rails? Is this getting?" But you every single time you proved your chops, and you've improved. Full perspective for a moment, guys. I want to give Matt props. I've been playing D&D with him for a year and a half now, more.
It's more like 4 years now.
Even before stream, yeah, that's right. You've improved. We've all improved. Everybody here has improved as D&D players and as improvisationists and everything else. But your ability to weave these things together, it's gotten so much better. And there's times when my stomach tightens up. It's like, oh, is he fucking it up? Is he fucking it up? And right when I he's fucked it up, it's all of a sudden, nope, it's beautiful. I don't have much else to say on that. I'm trying to stall for time.
No, you're
Maybe
good.
Zach can come back.
We got 2 other people that can give their answers.
Sorry for ranting.
You're good.
I'm trying to stall.
For Fane,
and I guess it really only applies to Fane because you knew what you were coming into with Scholar.
For Fane, it kind of turned into like the perfect thing for Fane, and Fane was somewhat appreciative that, like, in his mind, he's very smart and he's very able to convince himself, and he knows that he's able to persuade himself of things and believe things, right? And so he was running, away from the difficulties of life, and he hated that idea. And so as soon as he was trapped on an island, he was able to make peace with the fact and accept the fact that he was running, and he no longer, except now he was trapped, right? And that helped him, lose, he was able to, instead of fretting so much about running away, he was able to just focus on the task at hand for the first time. And the situation in general was just very freeing because he got to live without, test himself without all of the finery and all of those things, and see if he really was who he said and thought he was. So I think Fane coming out of it is so much more well equipped to deal with just life in general, because he's been stripped bare, and he knows that he came up just tough, and so he's whatever lack of confidence or whatever hollow victories he had been wiped away by real victory, and standing up for what he thought was right. And so whatever he takes or leaves on the island, I don't know how it's going to go, he's very validated and feels like even if he died the next day, he would have he would be relatively at peace, not completely, but
so to follow up with the second part of that question, did you enjoy it as far as like what you were wanting out of Fane's story?
It wasn't. I think I told you this, that I did not want Fane to have a story on Oldenheim,
and he doesn't really until his small amount of his family.
Well, right, and this is I'm gonna finish this 2-part thing. Like, I really didn't want it, and I was vehemently against it. I wanted Fane to have a very grounded story, and a very just like focus on the human element of it. And so I thought, there's no way for that to happen. Basically, I was very guarded because I didn't want Fane's story to become some sort of fantastical, like magical journey through the gods. Like, he's got people he wants to deal with, not. His story exists very much at the ground level, so that was why I was very guarded about it. But the Sangarans gave him an ability to see to put himself in a frame of reference and give context to himself, but also gave him a sense of belonging that even though, I'll avoid sharing some details, but even he idolized his father, he didn't feel loved by his father. Right, there's a difference between genuine connection. He obviously loved his father, but he didn't feel like an intimate relationship with his father in the same way. And so it was his first chance. He didn't have to be it allowed him to skip the waiting line on intimacy and just embrace someone as family from the very start in the way that he knew he should, and it felt natural to him, and so that's how he knew it was right. And so that was another piece of, obviously Fane is outwardly very confident, but to further validate his existence was to belong somewhere and be accepted by the people who should and could love you. So, to answer the question, I'm very happy because Fane got a very authentic sort of exclamation point in Olden.
Yeah, kind of got what he didn't know he needed in a way.
For sure. Still business to attend though, and that was a fun curveball because even Matt and I discussed offline whether or not Fane or Scholar would be my character moving further. I said, I still hadn't truly decided, but then kudos to you, Matt. You gave me a good hook to bring me back to the mainland. So this is Fane.
I had planned that before you would give me an answer.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And Scholar, because Scholar's on that boat too.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Scholar, but I love Fane, and I feel like role playing wise, he brings
You just like staring at his abs because you can compare
no.
with yours and
He brings a very different dynamic to our role playing because though he may not be a charisma based character, he is charismatically role played.
And Fane is like significantly less agreeable than I would than Scholars. I would counter. I would say that Fane is responsible for a lot of conflict.
Are we throwing in opinions about who should stay, Fane versus Scholar?
Well, you're welcome.
There's only one player here. Oh no, I won't throw it in here. No, I won't throw it in here. I have my opinion, by the way. You might not expect. I no, I won't do it here. No, that's true. I don't want to. You know what? Why don't we let chat decide?
When I picked up Scholar, I didn't bring him in as a temporary character. I'll tell you that much.
I understand that.
I'll answer Matt's question. I mean, I pretty much already answered it with Avery's question before, and that, I mean, it's definitely not what I expected for Zamira. I had no idea you were gonna throw her on an island of dragons where the king of the dragons is and turn her whole world vision upside down. But it's been kind of the same thing with Fane. It's what she needed that she didn't know she needed. And so, I mean, I'm really happy it gives her the chance for so much more growth and learning later on down the line that I feel like it's going to make her storyline so much more dynamic because of it.
She punches.
So I'm happy she got that because I feel like if she hadn't got that, she may have stayed overly stoic because it would have taken a bunch to rock her. And so I think that it made her a much more dynamic character. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm super happy with the way it ended up. Definitely not what I expected, though.
Yeah. My next question, and Zach, you can answer this from chat too if you'd like. What was your guys' favorite combat on the island? So I'll give you guys mine, and some might agree with this, but my favorite combat for me was the fight with Uthal. When towards the end of the fight when Andraxis betrayed you guys, but I felt like that combat had so much good points in it because you had Uthal, who was constantly chucking Eldritch Blast, knocking Akari back into the water, who also summoned a greater demon that you guys had to suddenly deal with while his compatriot is in the back trying to steal Zamira's Dragon Ball and run off with it. So like there's these multiple different things you guys had to deal with and trying to figure out which one was the more important one to deal with. So that was my favorite combat.
I should have fucking stayed on the Paraxi. I like let the Paraxi go because I was like, oh, she's dealt with, and then she still got the rock and got it to Uthal. And if I had just stayed with the Paraxi, I would have covered it up and we would have avoided that whole chase scene. I remember thinking about that. That was a really good. That was a really dynamic one. That was really interesting.
Yeah,
Can
that
I
was
cheat?
a really good fight.
Can I cheat, Matt?
What?
Can I say that my favorite encounter or favorite combat was actually the demon charge at Tristana, which wasn't really a combat per
It was more like a
se.
skill charge or skill challenge.
There was more of a see, but that's kind of, I don't know. The more I play Dungeons and Dragons, the more I do like the big battles that have tons of like. If you can put together an arena with like, you know, primary objective, big enemy, minion, secondary objective, like that is very important. But what you were trying to do in that moment, which I think you succeeded on, if you ask me, was solidify us as more than just as heroes, as burgeoning heroes. I won't call us heroes just yet. During those,
We're
scenes,
fucking heroes.
But charging through not legions, but charging through ranks of demons in that a city's defense, or Singar isn't really a city, that defenses can't even really hold up to. You know what I mean? That sort of thing helps solidify for me as a player, and also me as a character, that like, oh, we're doing something special here. We're doing something extraordinary. We can't be stopped by a bunch of henchmen. We will carve a path where sorry, not sponsored, Lord of the Rings style. We will carve a path through the horde to take on the real enemy. And I think that's one thing that a lot of things, a lot of campaigns in Dungeons and Dragons that I've played in as well don't touch on, is the idea that like, yeah, that the bad guy has tons of minions, but there comes a point when they're nothing to you, or they're next to nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you circumvent them strategically, or because you have a Kothar on your team, you just charge through them like a bunch of badasses. That's kind of inconsequential to me, but it sells the idea, the reason why we're able to then go on and take on someone like Zeldroif.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a rant. But
so
there you have it.
Before either of you guys go, I'll give Zax real quick from chat. He said his favorite fight for Kothar was with the guard tower. So if you guys remember,
that was so fun.
When he raged and then threw the guard tower of guards over the side of the cliff and basically turned the side of the cliff into a meat grinder for all those guards.
That's awesome.
That was so much fun. So much fun.
But go ahead, Emma, Hex, either of you guys, what was your favorite combat moment, or your favorite combat, I should say?
Mine was the fight with Andraxis in the arena, where I just slumped him.
Yeah. I don't know if you slumped him. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a pretty close fight.
Nope, I killed him in one turn. Or it was like one turn and then I action surged, and then it was like, that was it. He got me later with magic, but in the arena I got him.
Oh, that's correct.
The Kaithos fight was cool too, from a thematic perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was just the tension leading up to it was, because like sometimes we have an opportunity to like know what's going to happen. Like there are things that are preordained to a degree, like where we might say, hey Matt, this is something I'm thinking of doing with my character, and you get to the moment and you're trying to fill the shoes of that moment, right? And give it its proper respect. But it's very easy to give something its proper respect when you don't know it's what you're about to say or what's about to happen. It's very raw. And that was a very like raw, like there was no, like I said, I said this earlier, I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so,
well, for me, that was a very hard combat for me, because I was like, if he goes into this, Kaithos already stated this is a fight to the death, and I was like, do I stick to that, or do I stick to my original plan where it's like no matter the outcome, Gran intervenes at the end? I was like struggling. I was like, I don't want him to feel like I had it Gran intervene to save his character, but I had already planned for that no matter who won.
I would have preferred if in that situation, this is me like speaking ideally, like aspirationally, right? Like ideally, that would have been a great way for Fane to die.
Fane was always that sort of arena fighter.
Yeah,
he expressed it multiple times.
When we went into that, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, man, if Kaithos fucking wins this, and I was like, because I had already pre-wrote, like if I showed you guys my notes, you would see it says, no matter the outcome, Gran stops the fight at the end because she doesn't want any more bloodshed. And I was like, man, the more I thought about it as the fight went on, I was like, if Gram stops Kaithos from killing Fane, it's gonna feel like I did it to the audience and to you guys, that I only did it to save you from your killing your character.
I feel like Fane would have objected. I mean, I don't know, Hex. What do you think would have happened?
Fane's honor would have demanded that the punishment be doled. It's just kind of like when you like Fane's attachment to life is very poetic. So it's Fane views his life as like a tapestry or as a story. So to like rob, it's like if you wrote a book and you just
Bushido in some sort of way.
Yeah. If you copped out at the end on the story, like Fane would have been very like meta aware of that, and he probably would have like if they wouldn't have allowed just the immediate thing there, he would have demanded a reduel, or something along those lines, to the actual death. Yeah, because if he he's such a moral person.
Yeah, I remember as soon as that started breaking out. I can't remember if we had an opportunity outside of the fight to whisper amongst each other as players on the stream, or if you all were messaging me.
No, we were like PMing each other.
But everybody was messaging each other like, "What do we do?" And I literally was like, "We do nothing," because the one thing that I replied to, I think 2 people. I can't remember if I replied to all 3 of you, but I said we do nothing. Because the one thing that Hex has been so certain about Fane so far is that he is a gladiator, goes down if he goes down. And like, as much as I don't want to see my friend die to some piece of shit ruler, like,
hey, no, he's not
Fane, like Fane would have been okay. Well, he was trash. Let's be honest.
He was your atypical ruler. I mean,
trash again. Anyway, yeah.
Nobody's worse than the head druid in the druid circle on the mainland.
Well, there you go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that Tybix got into it with.
Oh, that dude's actually a G. You guys are just assholes.
Fane, Hex was so certain that Fane was a gladiator and would die a gladiator's death, and you shouldn't interrupt his 1v1s and everything else. Akari would not have shifted a muscle, especially after all of the tribulations leading up to that. Which was a. I mean, we've come back to that same chapter or that same episode like 5 times. You can tell it's a real big point of contention in the group, or at least a real turning point in the campaign. Yeah, it was a great episode. I mean, it wouldn't be that kind of episode, or we wouldn't be talking about it that much if it wasn't that good of an episode with all of its nuances.
And Fane got so mad at Kothar and Zamira when we were all having that like practice arena fight, and we killed that dude because he was like fighting. We had killed our dudes, and we went over and killed the dude Fane was fighting, and Fane was so mad.
That's right.
Yeah, because I took him all the way there, and then you guys came over and smacked him.
It's not our fault. We killed our guys fast.
You cucked him out of his release.
That was one of my first thoughts. Was when y'all were DMing me, I was like, "No, we've done this before. We can't do it again." I mean, Akari was ready to watch Fane die if that's what it was. He didn't know the tradition, you know.
I think Zamira's it's tough. Either
because they're in love.
No, I should think for her favorite combat.
Beautiful.
Yeah, my favorite combat probably the succubus fight. Anytime you get PC on PC combat, I'm fucking here for it. I loved that fight. It was so good and so emotional and so like unexpected, and like our reactions were just so raw. Like it was so good. But also the fight where we fought Kothar's fuckface and I got my Dragon Ball, and then we had the big chase scene for Andraxis. Like that was just choice. That was top tier combat. That was also the episode where I got cursed, and everybody kept trying to grapple me because we were taking all that gold.
Yeah, nobody could fucking touch you.
And you took me over, and they kept trying to grapple the most ungrappleable character, and it was amazing. And Matt was trying to burn all my fucking key points.
In a 1v4, that's what would happen. I'm gonna try and stun as many people as I can, because to get myself an advantage here.
But that whole episode was great for lots of reasons. But yeah, besides all that like whole series of combats that was that episode, the succubus fight was great, and that initial devil fight where Kidai ate that dude and then they tortured him. That was really good too.
When you guys fought Aragon.
Yeah, it's been a while since Kidai ate somebody. We should probably check in on that.
It's because
Yeah,
she has protection from Maeve now.
Oh,
no
yeah,
idea.
that's right. That's right.
I was gonna ask Alyssa so many questions that I had thought of just now, but she's gone, and I'm
Fortunate.
so sad. I had so many questions. Most of them, I think maybe she couldn't answer, but
What's one of them?
Yeah, because we haven't completely delved into that.
One of them that I was gonna ask was Lissa. To Lissa, you structured Kidai around the idea of the tragedy of basically cannibalism and or consuming your mate, quote unquote. That's one of the cruxes of your backstory. But everybody in this campaign and most of the characters and the players in this campaign are treating you as though you're a saint. Do you feel you've earned that treatment? Was one of my questions I was going to give to Lissa. Or
Let's see what
give
she says.
Kidai/Liz. I don't know if she's in the chat. I have no
I know
idea.
Zach's out there, so I would assume she maybe is, but I'm not gonna
It's
say if she is or not.
it's not. I mean, I want to see her fucking face. I want to see her.
I know.
I want to see her
Trust me, I do
respond
too.
to it in the real.
I-
you know.
But I mean, technology sometimes is
I
a
think.
bitch.
I think. But that's what's most interesting to me is like Kidai is what I understand, which isn't the whole full image of Kidai's backstory, is actually fucking like tragic, also a little nasty. Dark as fuck. Yet everybody including Akare, including me, kind of treats Kidai as though she's like a paragon of beacon of light. And she very much is this cheery character on the surface, but I wonder if it's kind of an act from Liz and kind of a long play from Kidai. Don't answer, Matt. You would know. I don't. I'm not asking you to answer.
All
what
I'll
I'm saying
say
is that
from session 1 Kidai to Kidai now, I think she's grown as a character, because if you remember in session 1, she was very reserved, very quiet, always kept to herself, and she's came out of her shell. I think she's just grown as a character into what she is now. That's all I'll say.
Kidai deserves all of our love.
she does. I wonder if Liz got the payoff she was looking for. And
We'll have to wait.
I don't
and
know,
see what
like
she says.
the whole eating her mate friend or cannibalism, whatever. And we saw it firsthand too. We just kind of brushed that under the rug, like, oh, Kidai's sweet. And like, I don't know, it's kind of dark. We just don't talk about it. Why, seriously, we don't.
I'm so surprised. We've gone through a whole 3.5 hours of campaign wrap up, and the queso blade has never been brought up. It's the
not
fucking
a
queso
goddamn
blade.
queso blade.
Fucking canon now. That is our present for the completion of this arc. Is that it is the damn queso blade.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, you take that blade and you dip it into a vat of cheese. Start stirring around. What's gonna happen?
So you go chop some regular cheese and melt it in the queso.
No, you ain't got no artificial binders in there, brother. It's straight up no sodium phosphate. I don't think that's
her
right.
cheese with the flaming blade, it turns it to queso. Yes,
Not turn it into queso, it just instantly burns it because the flames are too hot.
Then she could just hold it adjacent.
Yeah.
Queso blade.
Yeah, it's like melting a marshmallow. Duh. You never melted a marshmallow before, you fucking dummy?
Not a goddamn queso blade.
Okay.
Oh,
After that.
The combat where Zamira first used her staff of echoing, and it was so loud. The other dragon
drew dragons. It drew dragon. I remember that shit. I was like, God damn it, Simmer.
I hated that too. I remember I put that out there and you were like, oh, I'm going to buy this. And I'm going to be like, the second she smacks something, it's going to be a homing beacon for anything in the fucking area.
That was a good moment.
I will give Zach props
Matt,
for Maisie there.
Matt.
What?
What's happening with Spike and Barbara right now?
Spike and Barbara are off roaming around with their happy family in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Can we catch them and bring them with us?
And
they're making babies.
And
So what you're saying is Spike fucks.
and what?
And
that's all.
I need more backstory. I need Matt.
Spike and Barbara are two dinosaur ancient creatures that live on
What
this
race?
island.
What are they? What's their stat block called, Matt?
Give me a second. I sent it to Kidai.
Okay.
Because she has the ability to transform.
Please look it up.
Can we go get them and bring them with us on our
I
boat?
have to. Emma, just give me. Let me just run with this real quick. Okay. I gotta really. It's gonna be.
Are you gonna put them on Dwayne?
Hey, just give me a second here. I'm still stalling for Zach and Liz, but I don't think they're coming back.
I don't think they're coming back.
No, I don't think they are.
We just have 3 Averys on screen. And part of Matt's
That's-
basement.
More than we deserve.
Yeah, and part of my basement.
Well, I guess it makes sense for there to be 2 of him since he's talking for 2 characters.
I am all.
Technically 3.
3 characters?
No, there's technically three of you.
Yeah, I was saying it made sense for there to be at least
I
2 of
believe
them.
their stat block is just oh wait, here it is. Is it? Or is this the? Yeah, they're just. The stat block I just called the armored dino.
Okay. Matt, I would like a short form, multi-session, short campaign on the story, where we are multi-dinos serving Spike and Barbara at their leisure.
Doing what?
Doing.
Bringing
That's
them
for you to
snacks?
decide, brother. What the hell do you mean? Are you telling me
Hey,
you would
what?
not?
You want a
Dino
one
one
shot?
shot.
You want a one shot of you guys being dinos that serve Spike and Barbara?
Silver Dinos 2, Electric Boogaloo, like the Silver Sparrows campaign we ran. We're all the whatever the hell armored dino, and we vibe out.
All right, here we go. Uno reverse card. You DM it.
Roger that.
Done. I'll
Done.
for sure play a dinosaur one
Done
shot
and
where we're
dusted.
dinosaurs.
Done and fucking dusted. Give me a cast.
Oh man.
I will do that. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm not kidding. 5-session run. Let's go.
5 sessions. My God.
Fuck you. Give it to me.
It's just gonna turn into Ark Survival DM style.
I've never played that game. Oh no, I played it once. It has a poop button. Anyway, it has a button to poop. It does. It genuinely does. It has a button in
I
a
used
fucking
to get
poop
drunk and go to my friends' little villages,
my
and I would
God.
steal their ankylosauruses and ride around breaking down all the trees near their houses.
Okay, back to this game.
Any
Any final questions for the end of the night, guys?
I had one. I'm trying to remember it. Oh,
One thing.
I wanted. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say
Yeah, let her do
he's not here, but I wanted to just take a second to applaud Elliot for showing up and doing
Yeah.
just a bang up roll.
I meant to mention that at the start, and I forgot
I
to.
sent him very broad strokes of what Astoria was like, because I didn't want to pigeonhole him into the character. I wanted to let him make it his own, and he did beautifully with it.
Incredible job. I genuinely, I know that we discussed it outside of the stream, and it was kind of a group decision, but between Matt giving the final officiation and just all the players we knew, I don't think we could have picked anyone better. Huge shout out to
The one part that I loved that I'll applaud him for, and I'll speak on it, is I gave him a bullet point on her backstory that I said Astoria has PTSD because she was awake the whole time while being encased in stone, and then at one point you guys in character asked Astoria what it was like being encased in stone, and he brushed it off and tried not to talk about it, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, he did. And like his
Incredible.
not only his portrayal of her, but like his back and forth with the rest of the players of the party, even though he had never
Jumping
played with
in
us before.
fresh.
He's played briefly with the rest of us in other games, but
Yeah.
yeah, he just dove right in and did a really good job. And
Incredible
I wanted to
work.
make sure we applauded him.
Yeah, it was great.
Yep. No, thank you for mentioning it, Emma. I meant to mention it at the start of the session, and then about like 20 minutes in, I realized, fuck, I forgot to say that before we started. And then I was like, I don't know where I'm going to fit this in. So fuck it. Now. Let's do it now. We'll do it live.
All right. One more thing before we close out tonight, guys. Jedi, Zamira, and Kothar's Zero Sessions, for those that want to view them, have all been posted to the YouTube channel. For those that want
Did you
to view
fix
them.
audio on mine? Because I remember it didn't record me the first time when we did it.
I'll have to go back and look because I'm pretty sure I got it fixed.
Okay.
If it's fucked up, it's fucked up. But the one thing I'll ask here
Well, then there's no
is,
words for me.
Akari, do you want me to post yours? Or you want me to leave it unlisted for now?
Tell you what, if you can do me a favor, send me a link.
Yep.
I need to review one. Well, I'll probably watch the whole thing or skip through it enough.
It's only
that
about
I
30
can-
minutes, so.
Yeah, I need to check out one thing before I can be sure whether or not I'm okay with releasing it.
Okay.
But yeah,
And of
send it to
course-
me, and yeah,
Of course,
We'll work
Veins
it up.
and Scholars will remain private for now.
Secrets and lies.
one more thing, Fane. Why are you so hot?
Just in my blood, baby.
One thing
Okay.
I'll leave off on. You asked who the 8 was between Fane and Zeltro's human form.
Who the what?
Huh?
It's Anzaraxis.
Oh, the
Oh,
There's no way Andraxis
salt
is-
in an open wound.
That
Yeah.
man dies for real. A, he's not. B, I'm coming to St. Louis and I'm kicking your ass.
No, he does die for real soon.
Uh,
I think as a rain or as a horizon walker, I've got some interesting things coming up. I can hunt people, like,
Yeah.
truly, no matter where.
When Fane kills Andraxis now, he's gonna like Vogue over his body. Supermodel flex.
It'll be like, he'll be
It'll be the Halo
backlit.
3,
Like,
the Halo
completely
3.
backlit, so he's just flat black. Just standing over, like, Samurai Jack style,
Slop
like,
squad.
revenge thing. Yeah.
Slav squad.
yeah.
Oh boy.
But
Amazing.
that is all for us tonight, guys. I thank
Hey,
all of you guys
whoa,
for
Matt,
tuning in.
Matt, stop. What the hell?
What?
Thanks for putting this together. Thanks for putting this all together, sir. Thank you for running this campaign.
And having
deserve
this
praise.
this group foresight that we would
Yeah.
play well together.
Oh,
Yeah,
One of the
for collecting these players together. Come on, dude.
one other thing I will add, for
Give
those of you
yourself
that
credit.
don't know, this will be our official announcement. Next week is going to be our zero session, or not a zero session. It's going to be our downtime session where the group kind of decides what they're doing for X amount of time before we come. Then the campaign will be taking a short hiatus because Zach will be being deployed, and he is not
Yep.
going to be able to participate any longer. So we're going to kind
Official
of see.
business.
We're going to be trying to see there from a campaign standpoint where we continue from with the 4 characters as Kothar kind of decides to go off on his own and do his own thing. Maybe we invite another character to kind of come in and take his place. I haven't decided yet, but we will be taking a couple weeks off to kind of take a hiatus, and for me to do some writing to kind of figure out where the next part of this campaign is going to pick up once I know what these guys are doing in their downtime. So this is just our official notice that Wednesday night will not have a campaign for probably a month, if I had to guess.
Spicy.
Fuck.
We can go anywhere
like
we
that.
want because we're fucking rich, yo.
If a month is probably pretty lengthy. That's like a worst case. I don't want to say worst case scenario because I know a couple people want to have a couple of weeks of a break just to kind of take a breather. But we'll see. And you guys can always stay tuned to the Discord, and be giving you updates there.
Don't move too fast. I gotta put Discord now in the chat. Oh shit. Where is it?
Of course, our Discord link you guys can find, as well as I said, if you guys are just checking us out and you're hearing some of these things and you're like, man, this campaign sounds really cool. Nearly all of our sessions, except for session 2 and 3, I believe, are up on YouTube because those 2 got some corrupted files and we lost the VODs, unfortunately.
The most important ones.
They were two very
Tragic.
good sessions, and we've talked a lot about them tonight, so you guys can get some insights into what happened there. But my campaign recap going into session 4, I believe, covers a lot of what happened. So you guys can catch that there. You know, always just message any of the players here or myself, and I'm sure they'll tell you exactly what happened to their character in that session if you really want to know.
Feel free, guys. We are not only on the Discord, but we're also open to DMs as long as you fuckers don't reveal any secrets.
Or shin nudes. We don't want those.
Feel free to. Oh, God.
You five, I will
Ma'am.
end on this. You five were the ideal group between RP and combat. I mean, everything balanced, everything flowed well. It was a lot of fun up to this point. I'm excited to see where it goes.
So much fun.
So that's all for us tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.